Hey, welcome back, everybody. I guess now we're in the finals of the Airthing Masters, the first event of the Meltwater Chess Champions Tour. I am PatrickJMT. I'm here with professional chess player and chess coach, international master Kostya.
Hey, what's up,
And,
everybody?
and yeah, we're in the finals. We've got sort of a little, we were kind of joking. I don't know if grudge match is the right word, maybe, but yeah, we've got Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi, and if you had to pick two people at the beginning who might have been in the finals, you wouldn't have been crazy to suggest these two guys.
Who could have guessed? It would be Magnus and Nepo.
I know, right? And
Who could have guessed?
yeah, so yesterday was interesting. Magnus played Artemiev, and Nepomniachtchi played Esapinko, and Um, the Magnus match, I don't want to say it was one-sided necessarily, but I don't think he was ever in trouble, and he won pretty handily. And same score, Nepomniachtchi won against Esapinko, but Nepomniachtchi was definitely in trouble in, was it the first game, and was
Yeah,
able to salvage that, and then
yeah, he was pretty
you
much
know,
lost that first game, then turned it around, where when Esipenko blundered, and yeah, Esipenko wasn't able to strike back in the next game. In fact, in the third game, it was like this crushing victory for Nepo. If you remember, he like sacked an exchange and then sacked a piece, and just had a brilliant attack with Black. Actually, I should really go back and look at that game more carefully because I have a feeling it was just a fantastic game from Nepo.
yeah. And like, again, we keep joking. We're sort of like, maybe he should, instead of getting 15 minutes every game, he should just get 15 minutes for the entire, and just, whatever he has left over, keep using it, because he's been playing super, super fast. Do you expect that trend to continue today? I mean, that was one of the criticisms against him in the World Championships. A lot of people thought he was playing too quickly. And okay, well, this is obviously a different beast, right? It's only 15 minutes. Do you think is that just his style, and that's just who he is?
Yeah, I mean we've even seen him play really quickly right throughout the event, like finishing games with 9 minutes, 16 minutes. It's like I think I don't know. I feel like a part of him likes finishing with a ton of time on his clock. I can't say for
I
sure.
mean,
It's just a gut feeling I have that he kind of enjoys it when he's just like so much faster than his opponent and wins the game. I presume he's not really happy if he draws or loses with a bunch of time left. But yeah, I can't imagine he is gonna kind of change overnight.
right.
Grischuk, of course, has kind of the opposite problem in a sense. They're like two players on opposite sides of the spectrum, and yeah, Grischuk was saying in an interview that he's just like he had a very fixed mindset. Was my impression that like he didn't think he could ever fix his time trouble. That like he should have done something when he was younger, but now it's kind of too late.
Right.
Which I don't know if I necessarily agree with. I feel like I don't know. I don't have the intuition that it would be too late for someone like so strong. But it's interesting that he kind of said that.
Yeah, that really is interesting, right? I mean, you sort of have to adapt, and again, maybe, I guess we all get old and set in our ways, and again, Grischuk's younger than me, but by chess standards, he's a he's getting up there in years, I suppose. So maybe, yeah, he's just like, this is me, and this is who I am, and I'm just gonna roll with it.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, obviously he's an amazing player. So I've
For sure.
people always ask this question like, oh, how strong would Grischuk be like if he didn't have his like time trouble thing? But my feeling on that is always like, well, he got to where he was, right? Because because of who he is. So if you
Mhm.
take that away, then yeah, he wouldn't necessarily be Grischuk, right?
Yeah,
So it's really not that simple.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, Yeah, if you could play Grischuk moves and like only take like 2 seconds, then that's great. But
Yeah, I would trade spots with him and take his time trouble. Yeah, any day, absolutely.
sure.
Um, but
So
we have seen players, kind of change their styles. Like Kramnik and Aronian, they like started playing E4 at various points in their careers, even though they're more considered kind of like D4, C4 players. And then you see like Magnus like picking up different openings and playing in like completely different styles. So I don't know. I feel like players can change. But anyway, we should take a look
yeah,
at the game. Yeah.
for sure, absolutely.
So I'll run it back for folks. It started as in English, which Magnus has been playing I think a couple times throughout the event. Nepo goes for the kind of tried and true E5, and it's basically reverse Sicilian, where white is a tempo up. If that makes it kind of easier for folks to think
It
about
always
it.
feels it always feels like to me too, right? I mean, the Sicilian is so combative. It feels like, it's like one tempo makes a move. It always feels like to me like that extra tempo should make like a huge difference, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it
I
doesn't
think
seem.
it does make, I mean, a big difference. Like here, essentially, we have a Taimanov Sicilian, where
Mhm,
white has gotten an extra move A3,
mhm,
which is super super useful because this move is often played in the opening anyway. So black spends a full tempo on this move. It would be A6 for black.
mhm.
Now whether that's enough to give white the advantage, that's really tough to say. Uh,
Was it I don't know, Pugalevsky wasn't like he always did like this Queen C7, so I guess the equivalent was Queen C2. Is this something similar, or is this not close? I don't remember the
No, very,
structures.
very similar. Essentially, it's the same structure. It's just, it's literally the same position as the Sicilian, except color is reversed. So white
Okay.
has gotten an extra tempo. But the idea is uh, pretty much exactly the same. The queen on c2, or in black's case c7, is well placed because it covers this kind of key square e4, which for black would be e5. It also kind of gives white here kind of more flexibility with how they develop. Um, and yeah, because they can still decide where they want to put their bishop, like c4 or b5. Knight is generally coming to f3, but then you always want to make sure it's not getting hit with this e4 break, so the queen on c2 here is very important. And in general, the queen is just very well placed here, so it's kind of like a nice flexible move.
Right.
So Nepo takes, and here Magnus takes with the queen. Okay, another advantage of the early queen move, you get this option as well. He could have also played b takes c3, and then played for like a big center.
Right.
Um,
I
but
think
then
that would have
okay,
been
this a3 move's not
that would
as
have been my
useful.
natural. Yeah, that would have been
Hmm.
my natural reaction, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure this one is totally playable. DC probably doesn't make too much sense here, but I think queen takes. Okay, that was Magnus's choice. So bishop d6, b4. Now he's just playing literally just a Sicilian position, but a tempo up. And the difference is that when you're playing black, you're kind of trying to equalize, which is one story, and then as white, you're kind of trying to get the advantage, and which also means that Nepo here, even though he's playing like quote the white side of a Sicilian, he's actually playing the black pieces, so he's totally fine with just like playing it chill, not like being hyper aggressive against Magnus here. And yeah, it means it's harder for white to actually create winning chances. Now we get some sharp stuff here. So f6, b5, knight d4. Okay, thematic sacrifice in the Sicilian, the knight d5, knight d5 sacrifice. And here, of course, white cannot take it because queen is just going to be lost. Takes with the knight. Queen c2 takes, and okay, this is our live position here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I'm not the opening theoretician, but I was looking at some games. Again, I've spoken with you, Kostya, that um, I'm always flipping through books, and this sort of knight d5 from the white side in the Sicilian. Again, things are obviously reversed here, and
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's always like, when is it good? When is it not good? And it's always, I've been playing, like I said, I think we've been discussing. I've been playing some, trying to just in Blitz just play like different stuff. But I've been playing the what is it? is it the Alapin? No, not the Alapin, but like when you play, um, as white, you play d4 and then c3 and then knight c3. What is that? The against the Sicilian when you sack the pawn, the
Oh,
so
Smith-Morra
e4,
Gambit.
c5. Yeah, yeah. So, but there's a lot of positions where I'm just like knight d5, like let's go for it. And it's nothing. It's not an opening I know anything about, but I think I've had great results with it, to be honest, from white. But again, it's just blitz when I'm playing. But and so yeah, very thematic for sure. So okay, so what's going on here? I mean,
Nepo castle to queenside. Bishop e2. Queen e8. Interesting maneuver. And queen g6, offering Magnus an endgame.
I assume you don't. This is one of the things too, right? When a strong opponent offers a queen exchange, usually I'm always like, it's probably not good for me. So that would be my first thought. But yeah, it's a very double edged, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Magnus's king is still in the center, and so G2 is okay. So
Yeah,
okay, so
g2 is hanging there, so not even sure Magnus had much of a choice.
right,
He plays h4 quickly here, and I mean, it looks like a very double-edged endgame, actually. I mean, both sides have their pawn majorities, right? White has this 4 versus 3, and the very strong bishop on b2, just kind of exerting long-term pressure, possible weakness on g6 that he can target. And black has a 3 versus 2 majority here, and actually black's majority is also very, very mobile. And the fact that white's pawns are extended is not necessarily a good thing for white. In fact, it kind of makes them easier targets for black's bishops. Like in the middle game, okay, black's king on c8, kind of unsafe. But in the end game, it's probably not that bad. I think we're going to see c6 pretty soon to try to create some counterplay. But I don't know. My feeling is that white is a little better here somehow. Maybe I have the, Carlsen bias because he's playing white. But, I like the bishop on b2. And I like that on c6, white can also just not react and take back with the a pawn and kind of use the rook on the a file. So yeah, maybe Magnus is a little something. Okay, bishop b4 check. That's definitely kind of an annoying move for white, forcing him to move the king. But maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's just gonna play g3 and put the king on g2
right,
anyway. Yeah.
right.
Then the rook can come out. So not the biggest deal.
Feels like it feels like things are there are balanced at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it feels like anything could certainly happen.
Yeah. Okay, well, before the game gets too out of hand, should we make some predictions?
Oh, okay, here we go. I don't predict anything. So yesterday, yesterday everything was like after round 3 we were done. So
Yeah.
I am going to predict. I don't think after round 3 we will be done. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm going to predict some blitz today. That's my prediction. That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm maybe that's just what I'm hoping for. So yeah. So I'm saying 2-2, and then we'll see what happens.
The tie breaks. Okay. I'll go. Oh, and who wins the tie breaks?
Oh, I was trying to have a drink of water. Oh, I'm gonna go with Magnus in the tie breaks.
It's a good choice. Yes.
Right? Do you agree? Like, so okay. So back on you. What do you think?
I think Magnus will win, though. I don't know. I just feel like okay, Nepo won the prelims, but since then Magnus has just done like really well, and in the prelims he had COVID, or he's recovering from COVID. So I'm willing to believe that Magnus is now in just like fantastic form. So I'll say 2.5, 1.5 Magnus. I say he wins it in regulation today.
So you think you'll think he'll take one win and the rest will be draws? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I think that's how he won his first two matches, right? If I'm No, against Artemiev
Yeah, it was
he
2-0,
won
and
the
then it,
first two,
yeah, and then it
but
was
he
just a
was
draw.
okay, very willing to draw that second game. I think at some
Yeah,
point, just Artemiev kind of
yeah,
let him into the gates. But,
yeah.
yeah,
Again, I think we keep joking, but like I think I'm just like I just want to see some blitz at some point. So
right.
it's like um, but it will be interesting if one of these guys wins today, because it's going to. So the other, for those of you watching, the past 2 days, it's been whoever wins, like, okay, you're out. But you could, like, a player could lose today, and it doesn't matter by what score. But if that person wins tomorrow, again, it doesn't matter by what score, then they're going to go into some playoffs.
That's right.
But yeah, if somebody wins today, it will certainly um, create a little drama for tomorrow. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think today, if at all. Um, so that's actually a question. If they do tie today, do they have playoffs, or they just go into tomorrow and then that's decisive? Or if somebody, like, if it's a draw today, do they have a decisive result today, or do they just wait till tomorrow to figure it out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Um, Maybe we can try to find out.
It's always interesting. Like I like when I start, like I'm like, okay, I think I understand the rules, but then when I start, I'm like, maybe there's all these little nuances, right, as
Yeah.
to how you do it.
Yeah, so
Um,
I wouldn't call it double elimination necessarily. I would say it's kind of like a two-game match. So
yeah,
today is essentially game one.
right,
And the game one encapsulates four games and then
right,
possibly a tiebreak to determine a winner. Game two will be tomorrow, so like another individual um, four-game match. So you could win one match and then draw the second, and presumably you would win the overall, like winning 1.5 to half in a two-game match. And if it's tied after 2 days, like say Magnus wins day one, Nepo wins day two, then they do play a official playoff tiebreak, which would be tomorrow. But yeah, what we're not sure about is whether they're just gonna call it a draw after 4 rounds or not. I guess we'll find out. I'd be okay with either, honestly. I think it's a lot kind of logical either way.
yeah. I assume from the organizer's point of view, like, if the first day's a draw, okay, fine, and then let's just sort it out. you know,
Hmm.
the next day, that'll make life much easier. But
Yeah, I do
so
think it's a cool format though because it's like it's it's kind of a shame when a big event is decided by kind of like one day
yeah,
or like one game in my view because I mean it's like it creates excitement of course but it's not great for determining like who is actually the best player during the event.
yeah,
So if like one of these players just like has a bad final, I mean, okay, whatever. But at the same time, it's kind of nice to make the final a little bit longer. Like in tennis, right? They often do like 3 sets for some of the
hmm,
earlier matches and then 5 sets for the final, if
right.
I'm not mistaken, which I think is kind of cool because in the finals you get kind of a longer, and then you really get to see who's the best.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, right? Like, I'm not a huge sports fan. I'm big into cycling, which no one in USA cares about. But you know, that's what I like about, like, NBA and like baseball. Like, right, it goes over 7 games. I kind of hate that about the Super Bowl. And I don't know if you watched the Super
Mm.
Bowl. I watched 0 seconds of it, and
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, right, it's one game. It's sort of it feels like there's something good about playing, at least, sort of anything can
Series.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, series, exactly. So I always appreciate that in sports. And to me, I don't know which one's more dramatic. Um, one
Yeah, no, I
game
mean,
or
I certainly appreciate the Super Bowl because it's like, yeah, it all comes down to this day, and it's like who's gonna perform. And yeah,
right.
if you have a bad day, like that's part of the sport, and yeah, I mean, I totally totally get that as well. So I don't know.
But it feels I don't know. To me, it feels like um, I don't know. Feels
Yeah.
like you're not still picking right the best. But I guess by the same token, why 7 games? Why not play 1,000? Or whatever. So
Right.
to go to the other extreme.
Yeah, you always have to call it somewhere. Yeah, it's always going to be kind of arbitrary at some point. I'm just thinking like, yeah, what if the Super Bowl was like 3 games? But then I'm like, dude, that's tough on the players. Like 3 games, you know? Oh man.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe that's why they kind of keep it shorter because
they're done.
yeah.
Okay, so I guess let's check out the game here a little bit again. So
Mm-hmm.
what is happening here? It seems very all these bishops are trying to find space. The kings are on the opposite side of the board. Um,
Yeah,
feels
so I guess
very
there was a big like strategic moment here with c5 the Nepo played. And then Magnus takes on Passant, which is not forced. You know, Magnus knows he can he can like I'm kind of surprised he didn't just play like bishop c4 here, just kind of keeping the blockade. He takes, and then black takes with the pawn, not with the bishop, as I would have also expected. So I guess just
yeah,
trying to create a pass pawn.
yeah, but that's the trade-off, right? You're sort of also damaging your pawn structure. So can you like okay, I'm like, can you just like pin it and win it? What is that's my 2 second analysis, or like maybe not even 2 second, like yeah,
Yeah,
half
no,
second
Nepo just
analysis.
played this move c5. I think it's kind of like tactical. I think he's kind of figured it all out.
Right.
Maybe we can call it like a temporary pawn sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if Magnus was fully anticipating this one. Um, but the point is, I think he's gonna play. Yeah, he plays King B7. Magnus wins a pawn, but now okay, A4 is hanging. He can also play Rook C8 and just kind of play for a lot of activity, which is very annoying if White's King and Rook, are kind of still undeveloped here. So minimum, I think Black can go Rook C8 and then eventually pick up the A pawn. So to me, it feels like Black is more or less okay. Um, yeah, maybe even can think about being better with the outside pass pawn. Okay, Magnus gets its king out. Now Nepo can take, or he can give Rook C2 check.
Yeah, it feels like black has plenty of activity here.
Yeah, plenty of options too. Like this A pawn's really not going anywhere. Can go King
Exactly.
A5
Right.
if you wanted, but not
Yeah, I
sure.
was even thinking like, is that even like something that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Feels very, very, very equalish.
Yeah, it feels like it should be very close to equal. He takes on A4. I was wondering what would be the response on Rook C2 check. Kind of unclear to me, but takes on A4, Rook B1, Bishop B5 check, King D2, D8.
What did he play? He played just
I wonder if we're gonna get a repetition here with Rook C8.
yeah. So we've talked about this before. I mean, I don't know. Okay, there you go. Just like you said, Rook C8. Do you
Yeah,
think just both sides would be like, hey, it's a draw, and just sort of let's settle into it and start going?
no, I think the question here is more about winning chances, and for me, it's like I think if
Yeah.
Magnus had Black's position, he's not taking a draw here because he has this outside pass pawn. Even if
Hmm.
it's objectively a draw, Magnus is a type of player like as long as he still has chances, he keeps the game going. And
Hmm.
here after Rook C8, he goes King B2, which to me it's like wow, he's like worsening his position. But this is who Magnus is. Like he plays on as long as he believes he has chances.
Right.
Even if he objectively understands, he's
So
not
I
better at
guess
all.
so. Okay. So to sort of follow up on that, what do you see his chances? Where are his chances? Obviously, if anything, it's got to be on the king side, but um, like where are they? Like, do you just play h5 and h6 and try to undermine the like like where are the counter chances for white?
Yeah, I know. I mean, he definitely wants to do something on the king side. So maybe like g4, h5, and then, yeah, using that h pawn to kind of
Right.
get his rook in. Objectively, I feel like black has to be fine here.
Yeah.
Um, he's got bishop a4, threatening rook c2. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of surprising, honestly, even for Magnus. I was kind of thinking like he really has no reason to play on there, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It's one of the things I love about watching Magnus play is that he just turns these positions that really look like nothing to, um, you know, winning positions. I mean, it's
Yeah. I mean,
really
we
kind of
saw him.
magical sometimes.
Yeah, we saw him against Artemiev yesterday, and I guess he had a pawn advantage, but if you look at the eval, it was draw, 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 and then all of a sudden it was win, 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 win. So but yeah, in this position, it feels. I mean, if I had to take one side again, it feels like black definitely has a little more activity here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. So h5 takes, rook takes, rook c2 check, king a3. Yeah, now if Nepo really wants to draw, I think trading bishops is the way to go. Can't imagine white's ever better there.
Right.
But then he's like, I'm
And
not worse. Why should I be playing for a draw? Magnus is the one that
yeah,
should. So he might go
and
bishop b5. Yeah.
I think this is the first time all since we started where Jan is sort of under his opponent's time.
Yeah, below
Not
nine
by
minutes,
much.
first time in the
Yeah,
tournament.
I mean just fractional. Just a little bit. But
Hmm.
so apparently they were joking. I haven't been watching the cameras, but they were joking. Apparently Nepomniachtchi's been wearing the same shirt. I'm not sure, and they were like, "Will he wear his lucky shirt today?" I was reading that. I don't know if you saw that. I haven't
No, no,
been
no.
I
Mm-mm.
haven't been paying attention to the fashion choices of the players, but
Yeah. Wow. Nepo just gave a very strange look at the camera after rook h7. He's like, what am I missing?
yeah, I'm trying to keep my bandwidth alive. Haven't been watching the player cams, but so again, tell me, Kostya, if there's problems. But now I'm peeking over. I brought him up. I can't resist. So
Oh no, you're okay. Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, I like Nepomniachtchi. He's very expressive,
Yeah, he's great.
and I guess Magnus is too. He's very, you can tell when he's unhappy after a game, or
Oh, bishop c4. This is why Nepo was confused because he thinks he's mating Magnus here with king
I was gonna say,
a5.
yeah, is there, yeah, some mating possibilities exactly. But I guess even what no, this is feels like one of these. I'm sure it's
Holy moly, Magnus definitely blundered this.
you got to be careful, right? Maybe there's a way to salvage this, but so
I
obviously
think
the threat everybody's, yeah,
no.
just like right, king
Hmm.
a5, and yeah, just like you have, just for k2.
Maybe you can go bishop d1 here. Then okay, you're losing f2, and then yeah, white is the one kind of trying to salvage the draw.
Can you play? I was say bishop e4, and
Oh, he
then
goes bishop
okay,
e4. Yeah, that looks a little bit
yeah,
more active. So the problem
exactly.
was like rook takes g7, black goes king a5.
But then what
Oh
happens
wait,
on rook a7?
sorry, not king a5. I think black goes like
A5 maybe.
a5. Yeah, exactly. And then this one you can't stop.
Right.
Um, I was thinking like a6 and king a5, but it's kind of too slow. So bishop e4 hitting the rook, possibly
Well,
only
maybe.
move for Magnus. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So say so. No, it's like you got to be careful. Yeah, you can see Nepomniachtchi like looking off to the side here in the camera. He's like, I think he does have on his lucky shirt.
Yeah.
So I need a lucky shirt in my life.
Yeah, it has to be good for his confidence that he, kind of like outfox Magnus. Not every day you get
Yeah, and
to
especially
trick him.
with black, right? I mean, like it feels like a good way to start all of this.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna get a win out of it. I think the position is still very, very holdable for white.
Yeah, again, I think that position a second ago looked like where Magnus had to be very careful, but
Mm-hmm.
it looks like he was, and
Yeah.
yeah, now it feels again like, but like you said, I mean, black still has this outside pass pawn, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not. This is above my pay grade, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it feels drawish just because of the reduced material. But yeah, if I would take anyone, I would definitely take black. Like bishop e6, exactly. Rook takes. Now I think a5. Pawn
Hmm.
starts running, and definitely, I don't think Magnus's king wants to touch the a file ever again. That would just be a mate on the spot. Very nice
Right.
mate, actually. You don't really see this one all the time. Um, so king c3, but now the pawn might just kind of skate through at some point. So white has to be, I think, very very careful here.
So again, Nepomniachtchi like 2 minutes down versus Magnus, more than that, which again is um, sort of a new development in I think most of his games. So
Yeah, yeah,
he's
not
clearly,
typical.
yeah, he's clearly treating um, this match a little differently.
Mm-hmm. King c5.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of moves here. Like, what do you play? It feels very, again, I'm sure objectively it's a draw, but it still feels very, to me, a little tricky.
Yeah,
Do you think
looks like
he's
Magnus. So he gives this check to kind of force the king over to the king side, and now the a pawn I think is a lot less dangerous.
right? Do you think he's just like, yeah, just okay? So he's giving up the
He's allowing this one, so you can
g2
go
pawn.
rook c5 and
Exactly. Just
yeah,
liquidate.
take.
Yeah, it seems like after that, like it's almost, let's just shake hands, I would assume.
Then we'll get a draw, and Nep will be like, okay, I drew world champion with black, no big deal.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, but okay, I
So the
was a little
games
better.
were, I mean, we're still so the games originally were going to start on the hour, but I mean, clearly, I mean, it's not a draw yet, so I don't want to jump ahead. But
Yeah, I feel like they'll just give the players like 10 minutes and then just start the next round. Because why not? Why make them wait and the fans wait?
so
Um,
somebody's asking again, who do you think will win? Okay, so they yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so
first game
it
draw.
is a draw. I'm gonna it's on my YouTube stream. Yeah, it's hard to root against Magnus no matter what. Nepomniachtchi is amazing, but yeah, at the end of the day, I would bet on Magnus.
Same. Well,
Okay.
game one done. So I guess
Okay.
we should probably take our break now, and then we'll come
Yeah.
back
Okay.
for the next game, which I'm not sure exactly when it's gonna start, but we'll hope for about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, we've seen in other rounds, right? Things were starting early. I'm sure we've talked about with especially since we're down to 2, right? They don't want to wait another 20 minutes. It's just like let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe 5-ish minutes, 10 minutes, probably certainly less than 10 minutes, but yeah, a few minutes and we should be right back and see what happens. But yeah, I think interesting first game, so
Yeah,
but yeah,
pretty
okay.
tense.
Yeah, thanks for watching. This is day 1 of the finals between Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepomniachtchi. First game was a draw, and we'll be right back to see what happens in game 2.
Okay, so let's send a challenge.
Here is challenging. Nice graphics, easy to see. What are you thinking about? You're looking how it can be the most painful?
Exactly. Okay, fine.
So that I give up a phone. He wants to be even rude.
I'm ahead of the game. Well, the phone is always ringing. I'm caught up on the line. Got a string around my finger. Remember who am I? I'm a boss and I'm honestly off my rocker. But follow me. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Well, I'm only ever slinging. I'm working overtime. Got a song and I'm the singer. The melody, the vibe. I'm a prodigy. Logically, I'm impossibly wanted. Then they'll remember my name. They'll remember my name. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Well, I'm ahead now. Well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game.
My name is Sam Shankland. I was the US champion in 2018. My goal is to keep things as simple as possible, but no simpler. So if I believe there is an easy solution to something, I'm giving it. No questions asked. Thanks much, and I wish you the best for all your studying.
As a kid, I spent hours every day reading about chess, about openings, chess history, and games played between world champions, grandmasters, all of them. My apps make learning much easier. Everything I know you can find in my apps: Magnus Trainer, Tactics Frenzy, and Play Magnus. You can learn the basic rules of chess, train with our 400 lessons, and even play against my digital self. Download and try my apps for free.
My name is Anish Giri. I am a top grandmaster from the Netherlands. The lines and the recommendations that I give are well suited for players of all levels. So I really explain a lot of concepts, but also a lot of basic things. Now it's your move. Don't waste any time. Hit that buy button.
Hi, I'm Grandmaster Judith Polgar, and I'm here to welcome you in the Chessable classroom. It combines a shared chessboard with live video. Teachers get to interact on the chessboard with their students and even run quizzes and tournaments. I really love what Chessable Classroom can offer. I use it myself all the time. Just invite students to your classroom and start teaching right there. No downloads needed, and it's for free.
Hi there, it's me, John Chess, inventor of chess. And are you sick of sucking at chess? Well, lucky for you, I have also invented AIM Chess. Look at this chess puzzle. Did you solve it? Of course not, that's because you're not using AIM Chess. AIM Chess is a digital chess trainer that helps you improve by creating unique lessons based on your recent games. Just link your chess.com or VChess account and feel that brain wrinkle. Yeah, see, you shouldn't have blundered your queen just there. Now I know! Thanks, AIM Chess! Now all that's left to figure out is how that funny horse moves. They even got acquired by that one chess player other than Hikaru, so you know it's good. Hi, it's me, that guy I just mentioned, and I am the best chess man in the world. But thanks to AIM Chess, I also have a girlfriend now as well. This could be you! Personalized training, game reports and analysis disease, study plans, thick, luscious hair, intuition builder, all this and more available on AIM Chess.
Hello?
Courtney, did you know that AIM Chess users improve their ratings 43% faster than average?
What?
So what are you waiting for? Join AIM Chess today. Links will be somewhere, probably. I don't know, I just made the video. AIM Chess. Sign up now and get 50k silver and 2 free months off your VPN. Now that's what I call a queen's gambit.
That's so fucking dumb.
AIM Chess, for when you aim to chess. That's their slogan. It's what they say. Ready, aim, chess. That's another. It's... Look, just sign up for AIM Chess, okay? Just... Come on, literally, why not? Alright, just stop being a dick for like 5 seconds and just go. Alright? Jesus Christ.
Hey folks, I'm International Master Kostya, and I'm really excited to be presenting my first ever course for Chessable. I've been a big fan of Chessable for many years, and I'm often recommending a lot of the courses to my students. So yeah, it's a real pleasure to finally be previewing my first course for this platform. So this is Endgame Studies 101. And let me just make it clear right off the bat that this is not your typical endgame course. We're not going to be looking at specific rook endgames or looking at high-level examples of endgame play. Instead, this course is all about endgame studies, which, if that's not a term you've heard before, an endgame study is basically a composed puzzle, typically featuring few pieces on the board, where the solutions tend to be quite elegant, if not even artistic. Now, endgame studies are generally designed to be quite tricky. The solutions are rarely straightforward. But the point in solving studies is that they can be great for developing your ability to calculate, your imagination, your resourcefulness, your creativity at the board, and simply put, your ability to find unexpected but truly ingenious solutions at the board. And this is why endgame studies are often used by many chess coaches worldwide, including myself. I personally love giving endgame studies to my students because I feel like it develops their ability to think creatively, to think outside the box. And in solving a lot of studies, one really tends to get a feeling for how the pieces work together in the endgame. It can really strengthen your sense of piece harmony and coordination. Here we can see all of the chapters in the course, and what I've done is I've divided the course up into 4 major parts. So in part 1, we have our tactical foundation. And this is where we're going to be focusing on specific tactical themes that are often arising in endgame studies. So this section is going to be very much about pattern recognition, as I've included a lot of the most common patterns that are often coming up in endgame studies. A lot of tricks, a lot of nice tactics, and hopefully ideas that will show up in your actual real life games. We start off with a couple chapters on the tactical themes, attraction, deflection, and interference. Attraction and deflection, I believe, are relatively well known. Interference is a very pretty and artistic theme that comes up in endgame studies quite a bit and is well worth knowing. Then chapter 4 is all about pass pawn tricks, where we're going to be looking at typical ways of getting your pawn to that final promotion square, as well as creative ways of dealing with enemy pass pawns. And then in chapter 5, we're going to be focusing on mating nets, where I'm going to be presenting some of the most common mating patterns that are often coming up in endgames and endgame studies. So I'd like to stress that I really try to make this course have as much practical value as possible, which is why I mainly focused on studies that I felt could realistically have come from a real game. Because ultimately, this is all about chess improvement, and I do believe that anyone that goes through the course will start seeing some of these ideas and patterns start to come up in their games time and time again. So let's take a look at one of these chapters. Looks like, let's go to chapter 3. So here we have chapter 3, which is all about the interference theme. And what you'll see at the top of each chapter is a video.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is the first day of the finals of the Airthings Masters, the first event of the Meltwater Chess Champions Tour. We are down to Nepomniachtchi and Magnus Carlsen. The first game ended in a, I wouldn't say uneventful draw, but certainly neither side, I think, at any point had any major advantage. Magnus had to be a little careful at one point with white, but he was able to, looks like, negotiate everything quite easily. And yeah, after that, it looks like things just sort of quickly wrapped up. So we are waiting for the players to come back. So again, I'm PatrickJMT from YouTube. I'm joined by International Master Kostya. And what do you think is going to happen in the next round, Kostya?
Okay, next game. Jan gets white, Magnus black. My guess is e4, e5. We're gonna see Italian game.
I was gonna say, do you think there's any chance they're gonna repeat some of the world championship? Are we gonna see the knight or the rook b8 Rui Lopez or anything like that?
It's definitely possible, because why not? Like, both teams worked a lot on this. They have probably a lot of unused ideas and a lot of prep, so why not use it? But we'll see. I mean, occasionally you get players just completely switching, right? We also, because Magnus, he of course switches it up quite a bit with white. Nepo, mostly e4 player, but he can play English as well if he wants. Yeah, my guess is we'll see e4. I think that's been Nepo's main move for most of his career, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I would assume at this level, I mean, I guess I would be mistaken. Like, I assume the more flexibility, I guess we had this discussion the other day, right? The more flexibility, the better. But then that's the trade-off, right? Maybe you're not as familiar, right? You have more of a repertoire, but maybe you're not as familiar or as, as experienced. You're sort of spreading yourself out more, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a pretty narrow opening, like a choice, or do you sort of play it all?
I mostly stick to the closed system, so I'll play d4, sometimes starting with knight f3, mainly starting with d4, and then switching it up as I go along. But I would say my repertoire is probably on the narrower side to most players. Maybe not, actually. Some players, they just, play only e4, only d4, and like they never vary it up. Right. Yeah, I think, as you go up, you kind of, you just kind of want to play different positions. At a certain point, you just kind of get tired of seeing, the same old positions over and over again.
I think that's why I finally gone back to e4 a little bit. I've played d4 so much, and I play f4, in blitz, and I've experimented. But yeah, I'm just like I'm so tired of playing like d4. So one little interesting thing here. Yeah, Jasper's 123, who's been very active on GM Hans Niemann's Twitch page, said that FIDE has canceled the Olympiad in Moscow. So I don't want to delve into the politics of that, but yeah, so something to keep an eye on. That's, to me, that's kind of interesting. So okay, so let's hop into the game here.
Yeah, we do see e4, and so Magnus is the one that deviates. He goes for his old Sveshnikov repertoire, which he didn't play during the match, but must have been prepared by Nepo's team 100%, because Magnus had used it very successfully in the previous match. And so here Magnus is like, all right, let's see what you have prepped. That's why I feel like these games are so interesting, because there's all this like opening work that's kind of done behind the scenes. Here Magnus goes for e6. He's played this one a little bit, but his usual choice in the past has been g6 here. e6 castles, knight d4, takes, c3, and a6. Yeah, I feel like this is one of the quieter lines that black can choose from. And I feel like it's not going to lead to the most exciting types of positions, but we'll see what we get. Nepo clearly very well prepared here.
So again, I keep saying it. I'm certainly not the opening expert, and certainly not as knowledgeable as you. But this bishop d3, what is it? And I know it's not. This is clearly not the same. But there's like, what is it? The Kopek system, where you sort of do this like, sort of. It seems like you sort of avoid a lot of the Sicilian main lines, and I think play bishop d3 and c3 and what is it? Bishop c2, and I assume d4 at some point. I don't remember. Does this bear any similarity to that?
I feel like it is kind of similar. Though now that white has played b4, it kind of rules out this plan.
What's to say? Yeah, I was gonna say once that came in, I was like, okay, I think we're in different territory. And
so Nepo is playing this. I mean, I haven't really, definitely not familiar with this line or even with the structure, I gotta say. To me, it feels like Nepo is playing it quite creatively. And Magnus, by the way, he's got his famous
he's
noodles.
Eating something. What's he got there?
Yeah, it's definitely rice and some kind of like maybe like chicken and veggies thing.
I'm a firm believer of like, it's okay to like have a little drink on camera, and I'm sure Magnus doesn't care. But like, sometimes I watch streamers. I'm like, I don't want to watch you eat dinner. Like, just take a little break if you need to go eat dinner. Like, that's not what I want to watch. But, what time is it in Norway? I don't even know. I assume he's in Norway.
Yeah, I think it's like, like 6 p.m. or something.
It's dinner time. Yeah. He's in there he was in there microwaving his food or whatever he's doing.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. It's always surprising to me that Magnus just likes noodles and stuff. I always imagine like every meal of his is just like salmon, veggies, like mashed potatoes, just like perfectly roasted. It's like, I don't know why. I just feel like he eats a lot of salmon. But no, noodles.
That's actually pretty much what I had a couple of days ago, and it was delicious.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. We were going to go to Norway when I was in Europe a few years ago, and I've read like I don't want to knock Norwegian food if there's any Norwegians out there. I don't think there's too many watching us, but I read wasn't sure about the Norwegian cuisine, but I'm always a fan of fish and whatever. But I guess it's just cold and it's probably not too much produce there. But anyway, that's a different story for a different time. So yeah, okay. So anyways, yeah. So it already feels like kind of a unique position. I mean, this is not something. In some ways, I'm sure it'll sort of stabilize into something a little more familiar.
Yeah. Yeah, now we're getting kind of, I would say, like a typical Sicilian. In fact, this is a very similar structure to what Magnus played in his white game with Queen c7, e6, a6. And white definitely doesn't have the most aggressive setup here, but
sure.
Definitely he has reason to be aggressive here, like with bishop e3, maybe sacking the c pawn. Not sure if black is willing to take it. But okay, he goes c4, which actually a very logical move, and maybe putting the bishop on b2 soon.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, exactly this. Like, yeah, just c4 and bishop b2, and I don't know if you play queen e2, or I don't know. I assume that knight's probably
It
going
looks
to.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, feels like white has some natural development. I just
He's
keep
got some
watching Magnus.
space. Mhm.
Sorry, so yeah, he's got some space, exactly. So, but certainly, I don't think black is having any difficulties yet. I'm sure that knight, yeah, just as you say, yeah, just bishop b7.
Fading dark square bishops is a little surprising for me. I mean, certainly very logical, but I was thinking, wow, this bishop is going to be fantastic on b2. Maybe he didn't think so. Maybe he thought like e5 and d6 are coming, and
Right.
it's going to be blocked in. I'm not sure. So bishop e3, rook c1. I would say white is just playing for a very small advantage here.
Yeah, that bishop on d3. I wouldn't call it a big pawn just yet, but okay, so Magnus has had his few bites to eat, and now looks like he's like, okay, let's think here.
Oh, Patrick, I might have an answer to our question from earlier about whether there was going to be a tiebreak today or not.
Okay.
I think the answer is no, because looking at the list of rounds that they set up for this tournament, they have day one of the quarterfinals, and then they have the quarterfinal tiebreak, even though there was no tiebreak, but they had it ready as like an available round for live games.
Okay.
For the semifinal, they also had a SF tiebreak available, even though there was no tiebreak games.
Right.
For the final day one, there's no tiebreak listed.
Okay.
But for the final day two, there is a tiebreak listed there.
Okay.
So I think that means no tiebreaks today.
Okay. Again, I mean, seems like that makes sense from even like a logistical point of view. Just like, hey, we're tied day one, and if somebody wins day two, we're done, and if not, then we can start messing with all the tie breaks or the blitz.
Yeah, exactly.
So that seems reasonable.
Yeah, but okay, we'll keep an eye on it, I'm sure. And our AB4.
So when you go to a game, Kostya, do you have like a classical game, or do you have like snacks and food with you? Are you eating noodles at the board?
No. I'll sometimes bring a little snack in case I get peckish.
Yeah.
Like some nuts or some bar or something, banana. But yeah, proper etiquette is you eat away from the board, right? You don't eat in front of your opponent.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah, are you like at the board munching away, or do you like stand up and just sort of move off for a few minutes?
No, if it's my move, maybe I'll eat at the board, but if it's my opponent's turn, and generally I just wait for their turn, I just get up and I eat away from the board. I think that's proper etiquette. We did a whole podcast on the dojo about it, about like
did you?
proper chessboard etiquette. And yeah, one of the big things we mentioned was just like eating at the board, especially on your opponent's turn. It's just very distracting, right? It's like you're making sound, they can maybe smell your food. Right. It's very I think it's very bad sportsmanship.
Okay, well you're a gentleman, and yeah, so again, International Master Kostya Kavutski, he does have his own channel on YouTube. And is it what's the is it just...
Yeah, we're on youtube.com/chessdojo.
Okay. So, and I have definitely been watching some of your chess dojo videos. I watched a couple of them all the way through, and they were great, and I've been skimming some of the others. So yeah, it's a great channel. And
thanks.
I'm not the type of person I didn't like them, I would be like, yeah, he's got a channel, but whatever. But no, they're good. I really enjoy them. So keep it up. And, I
Appreciate
think
it.
they're sure for sure. So okay, so let's see here. It still feels like, I mean, Magnus has this A file. White's got a little bit of the center, but feels like comfortable position still for black. I don't see anything major yet, but it's still early. So Jan, I switch back. I've heard him called Ian and Jan. I think I go back and forth. So,
Oh yeah, I think it's Jan. Mhm.
yeah, and but okay, so I've got a there's a cousin who's married, and his name's Ian. So anytime I see Ian, I'm just like, that's my natural. I see the screen. I'm like, oh, Ian, and but yeah, Jan. But okay, so do you think just black is just playing for D4 or excuse me D5 here at some point? I mean, that's the classical Sicilian break, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Now the last couple was interesting. He played Queen F4. Magnus said Jan quickly responded the Rook FD1 because on
Right.
Bishop takes E4, he gets to take the D7 pawn in the end, and this one ends up kind of a weakness. And yeah, we could definitely see White is better. But Magnus just goes Rook D8 and maybe just to first defend the pawn and ask
Right.
White, okay, are you going to play F3 or not? And now Jan is thinking. But also, I mean, if Black gets this D5 break, Black should be absolutely fine. My feeling is that this game will peter out very, very quickly, provided that one of the players doesn't hang something.
Well, we had a shortish day yesterday. Do you think, are we going to see an even shorter day today? Who knows? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. By the way, what about this? Oh, I see Rook D8. Man, he also covers against Knight F5. This trick, which at first glance looks kind of scary, because Black can take on D2, White takes on E7 with check, but Black goes King F8. So the
Right.
square is vacated by the Rook and gets the piece back. But of course, Magnus had to check that tactic very carefully, make sure it wasn't working.
Yeah, and certainly Nepo would have seen that
In an
I'm sure.
instant. Yeah, just like, I mean, so fast.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but exactly right. That knight has nowhere to go. So let's see. Let's check chat here real quickly. Yeah. So anybody watching out there on Twitter or on my page, feel free to ask questions. We are trying to keep a little eye on them for sure. So we're happy to answer anything. There is one more day to go after today. So tomorrow will be the grand finale. Do you know when the next event starts? I guess that's something we can look up, or I can look up before tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm actually not sure.
I'm just guessing like about 6 weeks apart, since there's 9 events total and it goes through November. That's just sort of my guess. And so, and I'm sure it seems like, OTB chess is sort of back in full swing. And so I'm sure a lot of these players will be, I'm sure, have obligations elsewhere.
Yeah.
Sooner than later.
Yeah, they're probably all very busy. And yeah, guys, this is the advantage of this broadcast over the official. Like, we can actually interact with Twitch chat and just like talk about the games and discuss stuff, where it's not like the official channel, right, where they have to be like super serious and it's like a official broadcast.
Yeah.
Like we're not sportscasters, we're just hanging out.
Yeah, this is a little more casual. We're just having fun. I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun, Mr. Kostya.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't often get to watch these top games, so it's a nice distraction from what's going on.
So Jan is gone. Maybe he's going to make his cup of ramen. Maybe
He's gonna yell at his seconds. Hey, how come I don't have noodles?
Exactly. Chop chop. But yeah, so Magnus taking a bit of a thing here.
Yeah, and no engine evals. That's true. Because here we're basically judging the games based on our own human perspective, and through the eyes of the players, because of course they kind of show their emotions sometimes and let in whether they're happy about the situation or not.
Yeah, and you said our eval. I'll say mostly Kostya's eval. I definitely he's the expert here. So I'm giving my 2 cents periodically. But yeah. I mean, that's some of my complaints about some of the broadcasts where they're just constantly referring to computer evals. Like I can sort of do that on my own. Like I feel good enough to where I can do that. So yeah, right. We're trying to sort of put ourselves into the position of the players, and you know, none of us are at this level, but
Yeah, I mean it's also just like not that interesting because okay, sometimes the players miss something, the engine points out, and that's cool. Like, oh, they missed this trick, right? Or they missed this resource. Like, oh, that's a cool tactic. Fine, but like a lot of the times, it's like the engine just suggests some random move, like rook d to b8. That makes no sense whatsoever, or just whatever, just like random stuff. And people that are watching the engine are like, oh, he missed the best move, rook d b8. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what move is that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I think it's a lot more interesting when you're kind of trying to figure out like what the players are going through, the narrative of their game that's actually happening on the board. I mean, so many times like these players, they show up to the press conference and they get asked about some move and they're like, yeah, I didn't even consider that. It's like,
well, and I think it's more educational too, right? I mean, it takes more energy, but like if you're sitting there like actively engaged and trying to think instead of just, oh yeah, Stockfish says blah 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 blah, then
yeah,
it's much more interactive to me.
Right.
Like, so
yeah, it's not going to help you in the future remembering that, like, oh yeah, move 19, Stockfish said Nepo had this move in his game.
But at the same time, I understand it is sort of nice to know the quote unquote truth, at least according to the current engines. And there's definitely times I watch where I'm just like, I don't want to think. I just want to sort of hold my hand. But yeah, usually I'm trying to ignore the computer lines, and we're certainly peeking over. So it's nice. It's sort of a luxury, right? It's always there when you want it.
Yeah. Now, okay, from human point of view, Nepo's last move, e5, I would say is one of the most committal decisions of the game so far. Because now this pawn is a possible weakness. In fact, it's, straight up hanging after knight c6.
Right.
But he has something in mind, either queen d6 or maybe just queen e4 to threaten an attack, and then use that tempo to defend the pawn.
Right, f4.
Yeah. Now the problem is that b4 is also hanging, so I feel like things are not so easy. So my feeling is maybe instead of f4, maybe like knight g4, kind of more active. And yeah, here white doesn't really care about the b pawn, I think, because black's king is just way too weak.
Right.
So yeah, Magnus thinking here after e5.
It's getting a little dynamic.
Yeah, my guess is he does not want to play g6, unless he absolutely has to.
So even like after knight c6, can you play just something like queen b6, or excuse me, queen d6? Does that?
Well, then at least black gets to trade the queens off.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not saying it's like better, but it feels like that pawn is sort of. I mean, it doesn't feel like a weakness yet because what's going to get at it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's very concrete. I guess now we'll Magnus has to figure out what to do here. Really not an easy position for him.
And even so I was gonna say, even like after queen d6, right? You don't have to take with the pawn, right? You could take with the rook, and then if knight e5, you can play rook b6. So you've got choices after knight c6, queen d6. If queen d6, I mean, you don't have to take with the pawn, right? You can still take with that rook and get some activity.
Yeah. But would White really want that over like queen e4 and going for the attack, you think?
It's a good question. That's why I'm not playing here.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he also has, I mean, it's not so easy because he also has queen takes e5.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
check king f8.
And then what's the queen on h7 really doing?
I mean, I don't know. I would still be very scared of this position if I was black. For example, like knight g4, let's say, as a try. And then, White wants to give check and take the g7 pawn, so...
Can you play like queen, you say just like queen g5?
Queen g5, yeah, something like this. I mean, it still feels like black's king is vulnerable, but yeah, I don't really see.
Yeah, I mean,
how
right
White
after
gets in.
queen h8 and king e7, like you've got to waste a move. And then the
Then
knight is
everything
hanging.
would hang. Yeah. No, that would be really bad, I think. But
Yeah, so I mean, maybe there's a
no.
follow-up. I could certainly be missing it, but I don't see it at the second.
Looks like Magnus went with rook a4.
Okay.
Okay, so different approach, but I mean, very logical move. He's just trying to create as much play as possible for his rook. My feeling is Nepo doesn't really care about this b pawn too much, but we'll see.
I mean, I would just play b5. You protect the pawn, and you keep the knight from coming to c6.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I would be like, okay. It feels like he's sort of gaining a lot of space in the center. And then what's that knight? Where's that knight on e7 going?
Yeah, it's just kind of sitting. The problem is it can never come out to g6 or f5 because it just gets hacked off by White's bishop. So yeah, I kind of like b5.
I mean, it feels like, okay, well,
Queen h4, fair enough. Attacking the knight. I feel like Magnus can maybe go d6 if he wants, which would be a nice move to get in for black because then you really challenge White's space advantage.
It's definitely a move. I'm sure he's looking at it. I'm sure. I would assume. Yeah. It's very natural. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying b5 was the right move, but
I don't know. It looked nice. It kind of kept black under control.
Yeah. Again, I just feels like Nepomniachtchi is just like blitz this out. I mean, how many? He didn't. Maybe he had this planned already, and it's like that's my goal. That's where I'm going. But it feels like he had a little bit of time to think about it.
Yeah.
But maybe this is the best move. And again, who am I to say?
It's possible, but yeah, I'm very curious what he has in mind on d6 here. And it's clearly not so simple. Otherwise, Magnus would have just played it. He'd be like, "Oh, that's weird." He allowed d6 and just played it, and he's fine. Clearly, he's thinking about it. So it's not so simple.
Yeah. What I mean.
Maybe knight g4 from White. King f8, so Magnus also doesn't, he kind of buys into it, doesn't go d6.
I'm seeing on Twitch that said Brian Tillis is joining us today. I don't know if that's correct. We had him
No, that's
yesterday.
from
So
2 days ago even.
2 days ago, yeah. So just in case, Twitch. We did have Brian Tillis. He has many really great chessable courses. We had him for quite a while, so we were lucky to chat with him. But yeah, I don't think we are talking to him today. So just in case.
Yeah.
I
But
think
he was great.
Yeah, he was great. And yesterday we had Ben Johnson of the Perpetual Chess podcast, and we had a good chunk of time with him and had a great conversation. So if you're not familiar with his podcast, check him out. He's new to me, and I'm not a podcast guy, but I'm definitely going to check out some of his stuff. So, so just another writer asks, how much does a good chess coach cost per hour? So again, I'm going to probably say depends on where you're located, but Kostya, you're a chess coach. What does a good chess coach cost per hour?
No, that I think that's the right answer. It really the price of a coach really depends on their location and how much available time they have, really, or how much they value their own time. But it doesn't necessarily speak to the value of the coach. It's just how much it costs. I think there's a ton of great coaches out there that charge relatively very little, like maybe even $10 an hour, $20 an hour.
Oh wow, really? That well? Like where? Where are they living?
Well, all over the world. Not usually in
USA.
In the US, yeah. But yeah, especially like newer coaches, they're just starting out and they don't have a lot of students, so they kind of offer their services for not much. But yeah, if you go on Lichess, they have a bunch of coach listings there. And for the most part, I think you can see the prices. And yeah, there's lots of, I think, very affordable coaches on there. Chess.com also has their own listings, I assume, with similar folks. People usually have profiles on both. But yeah, I would recommend you guys to. I think the most important thing for a coach is just that they're dedicated. Like that they actually, care about you. They want you to improve. They spend time, to kind of like prepare for your lessons. And yeah, as long as they're somewhat higher rated than you or somewhat stronger than you, I think that's fine. If your rating is like 1,000 or 1,500 or whatever, you don't necessarily need like a grandmaster coach, right? Someone who's 2,200 can still be an excellent coach.
So are you again, I'm going to give you a little plug here, Kostya, and I don't know the answer to this. Are you looking for students, or do you tutor? I mean, do you do people online?
These days I'm way too busy with Dojo, and we're trying to create, like, lately this thing we've been working on is like these kind of universal training plans that we want to kind of release on the community and give people kind of like a structure for their chess improvement. But I simply don't have enough time in the day to work with everyone individually. So
yeah. So just another writer was asking. Yeah. So yeah, and I'm just sort of an amateur, and yeah, I'm like uber busy with math educational stuff. So and I don't think I would feel comfortable tutoring someone in chess anyway. I think there's a skill set that I don't quite have. So I mean, I could help you, but yeah, I appreciate the question for sure.
Okay, now we got some really sharp developments here. So after King
F8,
Nepo
what is happening here? Yeah,
completely all in. Knight G4 just gives the b pawn, and once this happens, that means there's like no turning back for White. Either he wins the game, or he gets a perpetual, or he's losing. But those are the three options. Takes on H6. Now, if Magnus were to take this one immediately, I'm assuming, yeah, this just looks terrible. Let's say on King E8 there's Queen H8, and on King G8 there's Bishop H7 check, and this typical pattern where White gives mate.
Yeah, this is one of the classical patterns, right?
So Magnus on knight takes H6 throws in rook takes B1. And this move, of course, makes a lot of sense, because now after rook takes B1, black can take without worrying about this bishop. Magnus throws a knight g6, which looks smart. Queen g5, takes, king e8, and this is the live position. And yeah, actually, it's still super unclear to me because, okay, materially speaking, black is doing well, like knight and bishop against the rook. But king is still weak, and white has this like h-pawn that's, I think, going to be very annoying. So I wouldn't be super comfortable in either side, side's shoes here. That said, e-pawn is kind of hanging, which just seems like a big deal.
Yeah, so Nepomniachtchi has roughly double, not quite, but double time. But yeah, it's interesting. Do you think that was just sort of, I mean, clearly he didn't have it sacrificed out to, or sacrificed, didn't have it calculated out to the end. So I was gonna say, do you think this is just more one of those intuitive, let's just see what happens sort of things? Or do you just think he feels better here?
Oh, that's a tough question. I don't know. He might have misevaluated something because, I don't know. To me, I feel like I would rather take black. Like, you just gotta love the activity, right? You have queen c6 ideas. You have this e-pawn. This knight is always like ready to jump in. He goes rook d6.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the king is, like, you're not getting checkmated anytime soon, it feels like. As black, I mean, like.
Okay, this move though is quite serious because he's stopping all kinds of stuff. Queen c6.
Sure.
He stops black from taking the pawn because of queen check.
Yeah, and if
Wait, then
king
king
moves,
e7.
right? Yeah, so right.
What's happening
Yeah,
there?
the knight
actually?
takes, queen check, king moves, and then yeah, just the queen takes the knight.
But then the rook would be hanging, right? So actually, I'm a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually, I was just
confused
about to
here.
say, right?
What's happening? Takes. I'm looking for a perpetual, but I don't really see one. Takes. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
he can
there's
also
the-
play rook d1 maybe first, and then he still has all kinds of annoying threats.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, just keep bringing in the forces.
So rook d6. Magnus play queen c4. Rook takes b6. Bishop e4. Wow, such a sharp position. Honestly, I feel like all three results are very, very possible here.
Yeah, it definitely feels very, very complicated. I don't know what the eval says. I haven't looked, but I don't care what it says. It could say dead draw or one side's winning or losing. I think if you're playing this, especially when you're down to minutes.
Yeah, super complicated. But this bishop e4 move is very annoying because now white has to kind of give some concession. He can play rook b2, the c1 square is covered, but you really don't want to weaken your back rank here. And if you move the rook away, then you kind of lose coordination because, you know, Nepo was hoping to go rook b8 and trade off black's rook and start playing against the king.
Yeah, bishop e4 looks, yeah, very annoying.
Yeah, tough choice for white here. I feel like he's gonna move the rook. Rook c1 feels very natural, hitting the queen. And I'm guessing Magnus has queen d5 or something up his sleeve. And then f3 white cannot play because queen d4 check, you know, wins the rook.
Right.
It's already, we see the
So
problem
you
of
say
not
just like
having
queen?
your rooks connected. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, are you just like, do you have to play queen g5 then to protect the e5 pawn and the g2 pawn? You know, if you are able to get in, you know, rook c1, queen d5, queen g5, but then it feels like you're sort of backtracking or
Something like that. Yeah. He goes rook 6 b4. Which, okay, makes sense. Hitting the queen.
it feels like, you know, at least you're sort of gaining tempos in a way, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Kind of. Maybe a repetition possible here with queen d5, rook b5. And Magnus is like, nope, we're playing queen e2. And if you play rook b2, then I'm guessing queen g4 is going to be very annoying.
Yeah, no, it's
Now queen g4, he has f3. It's kind of a nice trick.
yeah, no. Does anybody? What would you all play here? Looks complicated to me. Still looks tricky. The Magnus, yeah, under 2 minutes.
Yeah, he's thinking, I don't know, moving the bishop seems solid. Bishop d5, bishop c6. Yeah, bishop c6. I feel like it's a tough position for white because you have to watch out for just so many things. Like the knight coming in, e5 pawn hanging.
Yeah, I just don't see like where. Okay, so like you
Yeah.
mentioned, like maybe I was gonna say, where's the counterplay? I guess this is it, right? Like you've got to do something because otherwise, I don't see what these rooks are really doing, and I don't see the. I just don't see the threats for black in this position. It feels like white's just sort of doesn't have the coordination.
Mhm.
So you'd love to play queen h8 here, but obviously that's not the move you're going to play. So rook g4.
Yeah, looks active.
Yeah, where's the rook going? Are you just trying to play like queen g7 and push the pawn, or I'm not even sure
Yeah.
what is.
I think just improving the rook, he's kind of freezing the knight. And
Right.
now the plan definitely to move the queen at some point and start pushing. Maybe queen g7. Although I feel like trading queens might not be white's best interests right now, but because black's king just kind of comes in very quickly. Oops. Rook a8 for Magnus.
So I guess just maybe threatening rook a1 just to trade off some stuff.
Yeah, maybe
just-
rook a1, maybe rook a2 just to be active. Yeah, it definitely feels like things are going black's way.
Yeah. Yeah, I should say those of you watching on Twitch, Jim Hans's channel, he unfortunately didn't qualify, but yeah, he's been kind enough to let us continue doing this stream until the event is over. Tomorrow is the last day. So shout out to Hans. We were rooting for him and hoped he had done a touch better. But if you're looking at us, I haven't seen too many comments about it. But yeah, if you're wondering why we're here, that's why we're here.
Oh wow, Magnus starts running with the king after rook g7. Yeah, fair enough, threatening queen. So that was the threat, rook g7, queen h8.
Yeah.
So he goes king d8, rook takes f7, Nepo gets a pawn.
Yeah, so
But,
now threatening, I guess, maybe queen f8 and queen e7.
Yeah. Yes, maybe time for the knight to move. Oh, rook a1.
Okay, so there it is, right? I assume you just go back to e5,
Mm-hmm.
just centralize, and you still have to do something about this.
Yeah, queen f8 is always a threat. I mean, he can move the knight, I think, and yeah, his
Yeah.
king is not really in much
Yes.
danger here.
No danger, right? I think the only thing black has to be careful about is this h-pawn.
Right. But yeah, in the meantime, white's king is also going to experience some difficulties. So he can go h6, but then queen e5 check, and yeah, where exactly does white put the king? So minimum Magnus, I think, should have like a draw here, but we'll see if he can get more. If he has a draw, like queen e5 check, white can go f4. And just say like, okay, what are you gonna do? H pawn is coming to h7. Maybe it's really not so simple for black. Especially once the rooks come off, it feels like black has a lot less activity. I don't know. Could be turning around for Nepo. Magnus is down to 15 seconds.
But yeah, I was gonna say, right? I mean, this is a. I need to look at the cam over here real quick. So Magnus is. Looks like they're both in their sort of their stereotypical, or and that makes maybe not stereotypical, but typical thinking positions. Yeah,
F4,
so
right?
check.
And how does black even give another check?
Yeah, I don't know this. I mean, this H pawn, as long as it's alive, it feels like you've got to be super careful as black. And unless you're getting, mated as white, which, I don't see for the moment. I mean, G2 is protected by the queen.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I guess what do you do with the king here?
Oh, okay. I have an idea. You play king. I think I realized. So f4.
Uh-huh.
Maybe Magnus wanted queen e2, h7, and then either knight h4 or knight d4,
Yeah.
something like this.
Right, going after G2 or
Going after,
something
yeah,
checks.
G2, a knight f3 check. This to me feels like maybe some knight e3. And okay, black does get some play here, though I have no idea how this line would play out. Anyway, king h3 on the board, queen a1 for Magnus.
So
Queen f4, check. Knight d6, yeah, Magnus just playing on his increment.
no, another this game I think is much more interesting than the first one.
Yeah.
Much more imbalanced.
Wow, rook g7 prophylactically defending the g-pawn, and Magnus, he's fast with queen c1. Like, he is really calculating a lot here. He's like anticipating all of Nepo's tries and finding like only moves to defend.
Yeah, I'm sure that was one of those two, right? I'm sure he anticipated queen h2 and let's just pre-move and get some time back. So yeah, so he's got to do something here about h6. Yeah, that king, certainly a little exposed on h3. Again, I don't think he's not getting checkmated, but it's definitely sort of out in the air. But okay, he goes, yeah, even more out in the air.
G4, huh?
So yeah, nice.
c4 check. Yeah, again, I feel like this is now all three results possible because White's king is really vulnerable now.
Yeah.
He does have queen f4, but still queen e2 check. Starts to look really dicey.
Yeah, it feels like one of these positions, right? It's just one wrong move from either side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Magnus is just like, he's built up, he's now has 40 seconds because he's literally anticipated every one of Nepo's moves and had his response ready.
Yeah, I mean, he was down way on the clock and it's getting pretty close here.
Now e5. Blocking the pin, very important so that black can start jumping with the knight. Queen g4, please, please trade queens Magnus, please. He's really begging, but I think very little chance of that happening. Yeah, queen takes f2.
So I got to give a quick shout out to my friend Mr. Robert Summers, watching on my YouTube page. He's a good dude that I haven't seen in a while. So howdy, Mr. Summers. It's always a pleasure to see you. Welcome. But yeah, it's
Looks like we might
So it
be
seems like-
finally getting repetition
as you
here.
say, yeah, we're gonna get a perpetual here. I mean,
Mhm.
you clearly can't take the rook, right? H8, and then
Yeah.
and so right after queen, yeah, queen G7, just H8 promotes. So yeah, no, like what a fun game. I don't know, maybe who knows? It's Magnus.
Very sharp
I'm
game.
Sure
I bet both players miss chances.
yeah, I haven't really been peeking at the eval at all, to be honest, in this one. I've
Oh,
been
he can go
tempted,
rook
but-
G3. Hold on, game is still going.
Well,
Rook G3, knight f7. And Magnus here is going to be giving the knight for the queen if white promotes.
okay, well, here we go.
Yeah, okay, at least the position has clarified. This one still feels very, very tough for white to win, especially with his rook pinned and yeah, black's fantastic activity, and he just, man, blast out d5.
Yeah, I mean, these pawns in the center look very happy. No, but I mean, maybe there was a clear perpetual that one of them declined. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, Nepo
Yeah, they're
definitely
both-
declined to draw there. Yeah, to play on.
so I mean, they're going for it, and that's what we want to see, right? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, but he might just force a draw here, because it's actually very hard to improve as white. King h3, then bishop is always giving check on d7.
Exactly. Right.
And like, what are you gonna do? Otherwise, you gotta like defend your rook and then move your king. I mean, it's very, very slow.
Well,
Okay, he goes queen c3.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
He's play.
Yeah.
D4 would be my knee-jerk reaction, but doesn't mean it's at all correct.
D4. Okay, yeah, he wants queen a3 check, of course. And now my guess is he's gonna move the king. And he actually has all the checks covered, but now queen e4. Magnus creates new counterplay and covers the g6 square. Man, Magnus is just like so quick here.
Yeah, and he's up on the clock, Magnus, now, after being like down to seconds to Nepomniachtchi's minutes.
Yeah. But with his king weak, you know, I still have to feel like only white has like the better chances here.
Yeah, I mean,
At the same time, it's very difficult to kind of squash all of black's counterplay.
yeah, it always feels like, right, there should be enough checks for white in the position to hold it in one way or another.
Yeah. So rook g7, just kind of activating the rook, taking some squares. Now he has maybe, now if you can get the queen in with check, you know, then it's a different story, right? You can play for the attack, but
So there's a
Yeah.
question from Siddharth Gautam. I apologize. At what remaining time do GMs think of making a draw? Is 1 minute enough? I would say, and again, okay, I'm going to chime in here first. I mean, I think these players are so great that if they think they have chances, especially with increment, even if they're down to seconds, they're going to keep playing. I don't think in a minute I think they're still confident enough to keep playing. What do you think, Mr. Kostya?
yeah,
Like, you
I'd say
think
that's about right. Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter how much time they have. If they have increment, then yeah, they'll just play on. For these top guys, you know,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, like we saw, Magnus was down to literally like 10 seconds or something, and he was clearly didn't feel like he was totally playing it safe. It looked like he was just sort of playing the position. It looked like, maybe playing the moves that he thought were just best.
Yeah, which is very, very risky, but sometimes that's simply what you have to do.
Maybe we'll see, I was gonna say, King D4, Queen B2, and King E3, but something I would do.
Queen A3.
So yeah, German drummer says, I have a feeling Magnus pulls this out. Wouldn't be the first time Magnus works his in-game magic, but
yeah, oh, totally possible. I mean, the position is sharp, and Nepo clearly is playing for the win, right? He's declined, I think, multiple perpetuals at this point. So he's had the draw in pocket for a long time, which means that he's, capable of overpressing and then losing. Not on purpose, but just because that's the nature of being a blitz game.
yeah,
For
so
the
some
moment, I
people
mean,
are-
White is in total control. He's giving checks. Black is not really escaping these checks. And Nepo, I think, can pretty much, if he wants, just force a draw at any point.
Yeah, so just another right says, I think Magnus wins on time. And yeah, Jaspers is like, yeah, with 15-second increment. And I think, okay, so here we only have 10-second increment, but I can't see either of them flagging. Yeah, I can't imagine one of these Magnus or Nepomniachtchi Jan flagging. I agree with that. I can't imagine.
And
He'll
I like this
resign
king
before they
on.
flag.
I very much like this king on D1 because Magnus could have tried to repeat king C5, king C4, but I think his king is actually more vulnerable there. So he takes the opportunity to improve his king. And now if queen B1, I think, okay, still he's going to pretty much allow a draw.
Yeah, where does
the
that
mate you
leave you?
mentioned would be a big problem for Black, right? That's the
Yeah.
last thing he wants to avoid.
Don't want that.
But Nepo goes rook F7. Wow. I mean, he is really gung-ho because this rook was covering G2, but now he wants rook F1 check.
Yeah, right. Queen's got it covered now. So yeah, let's do something with that rook.
Magnus seemed to think that this wasn't going to work. I mean, he has a lot of checks like queen E3, of course, not queen E1, then rook F1.
Well, so what do you, what's the response here, right? I mean, you got to do something. I'm not saying White is at all winning, but do you just, is it possible to take on G2 and just use the two pawns? That seems like bailout measure.
Oh, he does
okay.
take. Wow, good call. And king E2, shouldering White's king. Wow, very nice find actually.
Oh, wow. Does White have to be careful here? Or excuse me, yeah.
Usually not. I mean, he can go rook E7 and force a draw, I think, on the spot.
Yeah, right. I mean, I would find a way to somehow. Sure, I'd find a way to somehow lose this with either side.
Wow, rook F2 check. Man, I think king E3. Wow, Magnus is good. King E1 here looked way more natural, but then rook F5. Okay, probably still okay for Black after E4, but D2, just to show one possibility, you actually lose this as Black. Because your king gets kind of shut out.
Right. Check
and White's king comes in. Yeah, check, exactly.
Check.
So they did draw after king E3. They repeated like this.
Well, that was a good one. That was
heck of a game.
That was fun. I enjoyed that one immensely.
Yeah, now there's no way for White really to do anything. Rook F5, E4, and if I was the players, I would not check the graph of the eval bar after this. This game.
Just realize, it was a Reva game. Yeah, Nepomniachtchi, I don't know if he looks disgusted or disappointed, or he was just like,
he wasn't happy, but good for him. He played for the win. He pushed really hard. He avoided multiple repetitions. That's how you got to play against a world champion if you're going to beat him,
Yeah, I don't know if it was Aronion or somebody was like, you just have to don't be scared. You just have to, just just play, like, sort of forget that he's Magnus. And I think he even said, like, you sort of want complications against Magnus. He's obviously strong, but I think especially in simple positions, he's exceptionally strong. So just like, mix the pot. I could be, again, misquoting, so I apologize if I am, but I think that's what he had said in the interview after a game he had won. Just like, just go for it. So
Yeah.
but yeah, what a game. That was great. That was wonderful. So very good. So somebody said Magnus not showing any emotions as always. Yeah, maybe he's like taking his noodles and just trying to eat them real quick. Who knows? Maybe he's like
So yeah, he was digesting all that food during that time, so must have been fun.
Well, he'll be at full power for the next game. So all right, well, yeah, great game. Again, I'm PatrickJMT. This is International Master Kostya joining me. We've got 2 more games today. And excuse me there, but yeah, you want to take a short little break, Mr. Kostya?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a break. We'll come back for game 3 and possible special guest guys for the next game in a little bit.
Okay, come back soon. We'll be back shortly.
Okay, so let's send a challenge.
Here is challenging. Nice graphics, easy to see. What are you thinking about? You're looking how it can be the most painful?
Exactly. Okay, fine.
So that I give up a phone. He wants to be even rude.
I'm ahead of the game. Well, the phone is always ringing. I'm caught up on the line. Got a string around my finger. Remember who am I? I'm a boss and I'm honestly off my rocker. But follow me. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. I'm only ever slinging. I'm working overtime. Got a song and I'm the singer. The melody, the vibe. I'm a prodigy. Logically, I'm impossibly wanted. Then they'll remember my name. They'll remember my name. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Well, I'm ahead now. Well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game.
My name is Sam Shankland. I was the US champion in 2018. My goal is to keep things as simple as possible, but no simpler. So if I believe there is an easy solution to something, I'm giving it. No questions asked. Thanks much, and I wish you the best for all your studying.
As a kid, I spent hours every day reading about chess. About openings, chess history, and games played between world champions, grandmasters, all of them. My apps make learning much easier. Everything I know you can find in my apps. Magnus Trainer, Tactics Frenzy, and Play Magnus. You can learn the basic rules of chess, train with our 400 lessons, and even play against my digital self. Download and try my apps for free.
My name is Endgame. I am a top grandmaster from the Netherlands. The lines and the recommendations that I give are well suited for players of all levels. So I really explain a lot of concepts, but also a lot of basic things. Now it's your move. Don't waste any time. Hit that buy button.
Hi, I'm Grandmaster Judith Polgar, and I'm here to welcome you in the Chessable classroom. It combines a shared chessboard with live video. Teachers get to interact on the chessboard with their students and even run quizzes and tournaments. I really love what Chessable Classroom can offer. I use it myself all the time. Just invite students to your classroom and start teaching right there. No downloads needed, and it's for free.
Hi there, it's me, John Chess, inventor of chess. And are you sick of sucking at chess? Well, lucky for you, I have also invented aim chess. Look at this chess puzzle. Did you solve it? Of course not, that's because you're not using aim chess. Aim chess is a digital chess trainer that helps you improve by creating unique lessons based on your recent games. Just link your chess.com or Chess account and feel that brain wrinkle. Yeah, see, you shouldn't have blundered your queen just there. Now I know! Thanks, Aim Chess! Now all that's left to figure out is how that funny horse moves. They even got acquired by that one chess player other than Hikaru, so you know it's good. Hi, it's me, that guy I just mentioned, and I am the best chess man in the world. But thanks to Aim Chess, I also have a girlfriend now as well. This could be you! Personalized training, game reports and analysis disease, study plans, thick, luscious hair, intuition builder, all this and more available on Aim Chess.
Hello?
Courtney, did you know that Aim Chess users improve their ratings 43% faster than average?
What?
So what are you waiting for? Join Aim Chess today. Links will be somewhere, probably. I don't know, I just made the video. Aim Chess. Sign up now and get 50k silver and 2 free months off your VPN. Now that's what I call a Queen's Gambit.
That's so fucking dumb.
Aim Chess, for when you aim to chess. That's their slogan. That's what they say. Ready, aim, chess. That's another. Look, just sign up for Aim Chess, okay? Just, come on, literally, why not? Alright, just stop being a dick for like 5 seconds and just go, alright? Jesus Christ.
Hey folks, I'm International Master Kostya, and I'm really excited to be presenting my first ever course for Chessable. I've been a big fan of Chessable for many years, and I'm often recommending a lot of the courses to my students. So yeah, it's a real pleasure to finally be previewing my first course for this platform. So this is Endgame Studies 101. And let me just make it clear right off the bat that this is not your typical endgame course. We're not going to be looking at specific rook endgames or looking at high-level examples of endgame play. Instead, this course is all about endgame studies, which, if that's not a term you've heard before, an endgame study is basically a composed puzzle, typically featuring few pieces on the board, where the solutions tend to be quite elegant, if not even artistic. Now, endgame studies are generally designed to be quite tricky. The solutions are rarely straightforward. But the point in solving studies is that they can be great for developing your ability to calculate, your imagination, your resourcefulness, your creativity at the board, and simply put, your ability to find unexpected but truly ingenious solutions at the board. And this is why endgame studies are often used by many chess coaches worldwide, including myself. I personally love giving endgame studies to my students because I feel like it develops their ability to think creatively, to think outside the box. And in solving a lot of studies, one really tends to get a feeling for how the pieces work together in the endgame. It can really strengthen your sense of piece harmony and coordination. Here we can see all of the chapters in the course, and what I've done is I've divided the course up into 4 major parts. So in part 1, we have our tactical foundation, and this is where we're going to be focusing on specific tactical themes that are often arising in endgame studies. So this section is going to be very much about pattern recognition, as I've included a lot of the most common patterns that are often coming up in endgame studies. A lot of tricks, a lot of nice tactics, and hopefully ideas that will show up in your actual real life games. We start off with a couple chapters on the tactical themes: attraction, deflection, and interference. Attraction and deflection, I believe, are relatively well known. Interference is a very pretty and artistic theme that comes up in endgame studies quite a bit and is well worth knowing. Then chapter 4 is all about pass pawn tricks, where we're going to be looking at typical ways of getting your pawn to that final promotion square, as well as creative ways of dealing with enemy pass pawns. And then in chapter 5, we're going to be focusing on mating nets, where I'm going to be presenting some of the most common mating patterns that are often coming up in endgames and endgame studies. So I'd like to stress that I really try to make this course have as much practical value as possible, which is why I mainly focused on studies that I felt could realistically have come from a real game. Because ultimately, this is all about chess improvement, and I do believe that anyone that goes through the course will start seeing some of these ideas and patterns start to come up in their games time and time again. So let's take a look at one of these chapters. Looks like, let's go to chapter 3. So here we have chapter 3, which is all about the interference theme. And what you'll see at the top of each chapter is a video. Now, I designed the course to be perfectly standalone, but if you would like to see me explaining some of the themes and concepts in each chapter, as well as going through some of the puzzles, then the video component is available as well. So here we have the first problem from chapter 3, which is all about interference. And if you haven't seen an interference tactic before, it really is one of the prettiest and most artistic themes out there, really one of my favorites. And if you'd like to solve this puzzle, it's white to play and win. I'd encourage you to pause the video at this point and think for yourself for a few minutes before coming back to see the solution. So this is the end of the study, actually composed by the great Russian composer Alexei Trotsky, really one of my favorite composers. A lot of his studies are featured in this course. And if we take stock of what's going on here, well, white is down a full rook, but has a couple of really strong pass pawns in the position. The problem for white is that both of these pawns seem to be stopped. Black's bishop is covering the a8 square, and black's rook is covering the e8.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is day 1 of the finals of the Airthings Masters, which is the first event of the Meltwater Chess Champions Tour. And we've had, so I guess I should say, in the finals, we got Magnus Carlsen against Jan Nepomniachtchi. So a little bit, maybe, I keep saying, I don't know, maybe I'm projecting a little bit of a grudge match after the World Championship match. So we've had 2 games so far. In the first one, Magnus had white against Nepo, and that one was kind of a, nothing too crazy happened, it felt like. The last game was much more, I would say, imbalanced, and I'm not sure, I don't think we were really, we weren't really looking at the eval. I'm sure there were probably potentially chances missed for each side, but it was a very, very good game, fun to watch. So
yeah, kind of draw seemed like a fair result there.
I was thinking, we stepped away, so we took a little break. That's exactly what I was thinking a second ago. Sometimes when you see these sort of games, it's like, okay, like even if somebody's winning or losing, neither one of them, there were some chances it looked like for some repetitions and some early draws, but they both kept playing on, and so, hats off. It was a very exciting game. So if we get 2 more games like that, I think we're going to be lucky today. So, but
yeah, gonna be a great match. I think the games will be starting pretty soon. The players aren't back yet, as we can see, but I'm sure they'll be back within a minute or 2.
Yeah. So yeah, so again, if the match is drawn, then tomorrow we'll just continue on. If one player wins overall today, the other player has a chance to I don't know if even the score is the right word. It doesn't matter how much a player wins by today. They could have won, the first 3 games, and then the score tomorrow, somebody maybe wins by half a point. That's still considered equal. And then they'll go to some blitz playoffs. So it sort of doesn't matter like how much you win a particular day's match by. It just depends. Do you win one day or do you win the next day? So
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's the case.
that's our understanding. We could
Mhm.
be mistaken, and I
But
mean
that's part of our
usually-
charm. We don't fully know how the event works.
Yeah, so we're again not professionals. We're just having fun here. But that's usually how these events, like the ones that I've watched in the
Mhm.
past, that's usually right. You can win 3-0, and then the next day again just win by half a point. And okay, it looks like we do have some moves.
Yeah, they're off.
already.
That was really quick. Like as soon as he sat down, they're like, "All right, game started." Maybe they were even waiting for him. So this game, he goes with more of a classic D4 C4 type of thing. First game he played English. Here he goes D4 C4 knight F3. We get Queen's Gambit declined. Knight C3. Okay, lots of moves for black in this position. Nepo goes for C5. C takes D4 or C takes D4. Oh, this line is pretty solid, where black kind of gives themselves an isolated queen pawn. And yeah, looks like both players seem to be quite familiar with this line.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Again, I keep saying, I'm going to say it yet for the millionth time. I'm not the opening expert, but yeah, this looks like something very typical. I know I've seen this, so I'm sure they've seen it a billion times.
Yeah. Queen A4. Yeah, I feel like it's a small edge for white playing against this pawn, but of course, black is super solid. Though to me, it very much feels like position that kind of favors Magnus' style a little bit. It's a little bit more positional, strategic, not quite as dynamic and tactical as I think Nepo might appreciate.
Right. Yeah, and so yeah, black has the isolated pawn, but white is going to have to, I guess, but spend a few moves to get finish his development. And okay, so black's not quite there yet either, but it seems like he's got a little edge in that regards.
Now, Queen B6, surprising move, because he's allowing Magnus this kind of typical tactic: bishop takes F6, knight takes D5.
And then, yep.
And I would presume he wants to go queen takes B2. And then get something like this, where maybe throw in queen C3 check. I'm not sure, but seems like, yeah, black doesn't have too many issues here. The pieces develop, white will castle, and yeah, things will be about equal.
As I say, it almost feels drawish. Like,
yeah,
it feels almost very static at that point.
So this move, queen B6, seems to have surprised Magnus a bit, because yeah, he's taking his time.
Yeah, let's don't see a 2-minute draw. But again, based on the last game, I don't think that's what's going to happen. So have you guys done your daily Chessel? I don't know what Chessel is.
Yeah, Chessel is the new game. Are you familiar with Wordle?
I have seen Wordle. My beloved and wonderful and beautiful wife was like, "Let's do Wordle," and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And and then I realized again I'm behind the times. But so we did some Wordle one day. But yeah, so Chessel is. I did hear about it, right? So how does it work?
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's like the chess version of that. Basically, you're trying to guess the opening or the opening moves. And so the way it works is like, you play out some opening that you think, your first guess, and then it tells you like which one of your moves is correct, which one is correct, but in a different position, similar to Wordle. So yeah, you're trying to guess the opening line. I think I did it once, and then I don't know, it's not for me.
Okay. So there's speaking of Wordle, we don't have to go to that, but there's a hugely popular math channel, 3 brown, 1 blue, I think, or 3 blue, 1 brown, 3 brown, 1 blue. I think it was Grant. His name's Grant, and he makes the best math videos. He worked for Khan Academy for a while, but he did a whole. I haven't watched it, but I see it on my little thumbnails. But he did something about Wordle and using information theory to solve Wordle. And apparently Crane, Crane, at least that's what it says in the thumbnail, is the best opener. So
Really?
those of you
Crane?
that are doing Wordle, start with Crane apparently, and then you'll solve it. So, but check Grant out. He is phenomenal. I wish I had his ability. So, can you guys do Chessel on the stream? Yeah, I don't think I don't think if we devolve into Chessel, I don't know if anyone would be happy about that. But,
Yeah. Yeah, also I just said it's like not really my thing, so I don't know why you would want that.
And I have no clue even what it is. So yeah, and I'm sure GM Hans will be like, you guys can do that somewhere else. So
yeah, let's turn down the
anyways,
World Championship rematch.
yeah.
Okay, Rook D2 from Magnus. Simply defending the pawn. And quick bishop e6. So Nepo is still, I think, in his book more or less.
I mean, this feels very classical. Is that the, I don't know, is that the correct terminology? Like, it feels very normal, or not, nothing these gentlemen have not seen before.
Right. Yeah, pretty typical structure. I would say probably very close to equal here.
So what do you prefer? You prefer the isolani and the activity, or do you prefer the structure and maybe a touch less activity?
Yeah, I like playing against the pawn.
Okay.
I like this d4 square. I like that you can maneuver your pieces to get there. For me, I feel like it's, I don't know, the slightly easier side to play versus the side that has to generate all the activity in the position. I think that's kind of a harder role to play.
Right.
Oh, g5. Now that's definitely breaking some rules.
Oh wow, he's going for it.
Now bishop b4.
Right, this is one of these moves you're taught about, like, don't weaken your pawn structure in front of your king, and but this is what sets these super strong players apart, is they know when they can get away with it, or when it's even better. I'm not saying it's better here. I'm not suggesting that at all, but they know when it maybe creates some dynamics. And
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rule out that the Nepo is still just in his home preparation. But I don't know. To me, it does feel a little odd, what he's doing. Like, he just weakened all the dark squares around his king, like with h6 g5, and then he plays bishop b4, I guess, threatening to trade off his dark square bishop.
Okay.
At least it would appear that. No, I think knight e4 is the idea to get some activity, but yeah, structurally it's very, very dangerous for black here because his king is exposed. So Magnus, yeah, he just castled. Now knight e4. He could play rook c2. He could just take with the bishop. Yeah, he does take knight d4, and now yeah, I mean, I don't know. It feels like black is gonna have some problems to figure out because this e-pawn is gonna be a target and the king is weak.
yeah, I think I would definitely, unless there's something I'm missing, yeah, I would certainly prefer white in this position. Again, I'm not saying that there's anything decisive here or huge advantage, but
Yeah, I would take white.
yeah, I'm trying to think. So what's just bring the rooks into play, put something on the d file. Feels like that's sort of where the action is in some ways. But yeah, I mean, again, like you said, like, I mean, I guess the e4 pawn, or yeah, isn't it's not a problem quite just yet because the knight is pinned.
Right. But yeah, it will be soon. White will play a3 and force the bishop to make a decision.
Do you just chop on c3 in that position?
Quite possibly. You know, you do weaken at least the structure on the queen side.
Right. It's sort of, right. I mean, I guess you don't have to worry about e4 for at least a couple moves.
Yeah. But yeah, it feels like we're drifting towards some kind of position with opposite color bishops. But with queens on the board, I don't know, I always get the feeling it's going to be dangerous for black. They've already weakened their king side.
Let's see. Yeah, I haven't been watching the live stream. I want to see. Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at Magnus and Jan now. Looks like they're both just in thought.
Nepo looks like he's very much trying to like remember something. He's like, I looked at this position. What did it say?
Yeah, he's like got the.
Or he's calculating something super deep. He's just trying to visualize in his head.
Yeah, how many hours apart are these guys? I know. I assume again, Magnus is in Norway and Nepomniachtchi's in Moscow. I don't know what the time differences is for something like that in Europe. We'd assume a couple hours.
Yeah, it's probably not too late for Nepo. I think he's like about 10 hours ahead or so of Pacific time. So maybe like 9 p.m.
Yeah. That'd be late for me. I'd be like
Yeah,
in
that's
my
fair.
pajamas and have on my next curled up next to the fire or something. I don't know. I'd be half asleep, but yeah. So okay. So what do we got here? Couple moves.
Yeah, bishop c4 played after a long thought for Nepo. Like 4 minutes.
You think he's just trying to put that bishop on d3? Is that the goal?
Could be, yeah.
Nothing more fancy than that.
Yeah, but he is kind of giving up the f5 square to do this. So, very risky.
Yeah, but again, it feels like this one could again turn very lively very quickly.
Yeah. Could blow up any second.
So who would you take here if you had to take a side? Would you still keep white?
Yeah, I take white. I just like having the safer king and weaknesses to play against.
Yeah.
I mean, two bishops are nice, but they don't seem to be all that strong in this position, given that dark square bishop is going to be, I think, traded off eventually. But okay, I think Magnus starts with moving the rook. Maybe rook c1 would be my first choice to just defend the knight and line up against the bishop.
Right. And I guess if bishop does trade on c3, maybe you can, at least you have the option of keeping your pawn structure intact.
Right.
And especially too, right, if that bishop does go to d3, it doesn't make sense to double up. Well, okay. I was about to say, it doesn't potentially doesn't make sense to double up on d1, but there we go.
I wasn't thinking that, but yeah, I mean, I guess so. And now, yeah, I'm really surprised he didn't go rook c1. I mean, because on bishop d3 also, white would have like knight d5. And this looks like really nice, just hitting everything in black's position. Or just queen as well, and the f6 square. But no rook fd1. Now on bishop d3, he still has knight d5, which I think is an annoying move.
Right.
Yeah, actually, Gemma, I was wondering about that too. I feel like Magnus has been wearing the same shirt also this whole event. But he probably has more than one of that shirt.
Yeah, I'm sure he's like, Magnus certainly has a bunch of sponsors. I don't know what it's like for Nepomniachtchi, but yeah, I can imagine like Magnus has like a walk-in closet where there's just like like just like 20 of those shirts.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's not like he's wearing that shirt all day. Magnus is probably in a t-shirt. He puts that on for official tournaments. Yeah, because he's got his sponsors there and stuff.
Yeah.
So he takes on c3, puts the bishop on d3. And, exchange sack might be looming, but it would be way too early here because back rank would be kind of weak.
I can't imagine.
But you can start with h4, and then I would think he's capable of sacking at any moment, to be honest, because this bishop is very oppressive.
Right. Yeah, right. It's certainly not forced. It's not desperate measures, but something Jan's going to have to keep an eye out for.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something just to, take up some time.
Yeah. Hey, we have a guest in our waiting room, guys. So we're going to take a quick break and bring him in. But we're going to have International Master John Bartholomew joining us in just a moment here. Very special
exciting
guest. So Stay tuned, guys. We're going to get him in and we'll be right back.
Okay, so let's send a challenge.
Here is challenging me. Nice graphics, easy to see. What are you thinking about? You're looking how it can be the most painful?
Exactly. Okay, fine.
So that I give up a phone. He wants to be even rude.
I'm ahead of the game. Well, the phone is always ringing. I'm caught up on the line. Got a string around my finger. Remember who am I? I'm a boss and I'm honestly off my rocker. But follow me. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Well, I'm only ever slinging. I'm working overtime. Got a song and I'm the singer, the melody, the vibe. I'm a prodigy. Logically, I'm impossibly wanted. Then they'll remember my name. They'll remember my name. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Well, I'm ahead now. Well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game.
My name is Sam Shankland. I was the US champion in 2018. My goal is to keep things as simple as possible, but no simpler. So if I believe there is an easy solution to something, I'm giving it. No questions asked. Thanks much, and I wish you the best for all your studying.
As a kid, I spent hours every day reading about chess. About openings, chess history, and games played between world champions, grandmasters, all of them. My apps make learning much easier. Everything I know you can find in my apps. Magnus Trainer, Tactics.
Hey folks, we are back live with International Master John Bartholomew, who I'm sure most of the chat knows very well. But John is, of course, a big-time streamer, great YouTube channel, and one of the founding fathers of Chessable. Is that right?
No one's ever phrased it that way, Kostya, but yeah, founding fathers. I guess we'll go with that. Yeah, one of the co-founders. David Cramley came up with the idea for the site, built the site himself, so I consider him the OG. And yeah, I was his co-founder in launching it. So yeah, pleasure to be here, and shout out to the Twitch chat as well.
Yeah, they were very excited that you're coming on. And how are you these days? Like, what have you been up to lately?
Yeah, I've been good. I have kind of been laying low, I guess, with COVID and everything the past couple years. I have not played a tournament in a long time. So my personal chess, experience over the past couple of years has mostly been limited to online stuff, just playing and streaming online. I teach a lot as well, so doing tons of lessons. But yeah, I've kind of been liking it because there's just so much chess information to take in these days, so many top level events to follow. I don't know about you guys, but I just feel pretty constantly overwhelmed in a good way with how much there is to absorb in the chess world across openings, events, players coming up that I didn't hear a whole lot about even just 2 years ago. It's really been nice to take it all in and try to keep up with.
Yeah,
well, I think I was gonna say, you can kind of be you can pull a Hikaru, right, who wasn't active over the board for years, and then look what he has recently done. So maybe it's good to not play over the board for a couple years, and then you just come out with like all guns blazing.
Yeah, and also in not playing over the board, I've avoided like all of, especially the younger kids who are just massively underrated and have been improving the past 2 years. Kostya, I think you've probably been playing a little bit over the board, right? And
yeah, I've had a few events.
Success. You won a tournament recently, right?
I did, but it's not easy. I mean, yeah, a lot of these players are like hundreds of points underrated in terms of their FIDE. So you have to be extremely careful. I also lost a game to a kid who was like 2100, but just like way stronger. No joke.
Yeah, well, that's cool. You've been playing a little bit. Congrats on that tournament victory.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think you don't really lose the strength, and I feel like when you stay in the chess world, you kind of, you'd have to get back into form a bit, but you still, I think, are gonna have your instincts for a long time. And you play online. Like I see you stream relatively frequently, right? Like how often are you streaming these days?
Yeah, I do a lot of like Lee Chess Arenas, trying to increase my chess.com blitz rating as well. So yeah, I'm always in the mix somewhere trying to, still show that I can move the pieces. And I still have ambitions. Maybe one day I'll try for the Grandmaster title, but I'm not doing nearly enough work to even justify attempting it, I think, right now, unless I was purely playing for fun.
Right.
Well, I've seen you. You're no slouch. I'm sure. Sure
thanks,
that's
Patrick.
totally. It's certainly. I'm sure within your capacity from what I've seen. Again, I'm not the expert here, but I'm sure you could easily go for that. Yeah.
Well, I think as Kostya could probably attest, like if you're not actively playing and studying a lot of chess, your openings and your calculation, in my experience, tend to go the quickest. So like those are the two main areas where I just know personally I need to do a lot of work to really put myself in a position to get back to playing even like a 2450 FIDE level, which is like roughly my current rating. But I feel if I were to jump into a tournament tomorrow, I'm probably a bit below that. But I'd like to think I could get it back pretty quickly, but it'd probably take some months of work.
And I could be mistaken. What is GM? Is it what's the cutoff? I used to know all these.
2500 FIDE is what you have to achieve at some point to get the Grandmaster title.
So do you feel like it's just one of these classical situations where if you don't use it, you lose it?
Yeah, I think that to some degree, like definitely you retain a fair amount of, I'm more of a strategic player, more of a positional guy. And I think that caters to longevity in my chess career. Like I don't necessarily rely on my calculation and dynamics as my go-to strength in chess. So I can kind of tell myself like that would help me jump back into something tomorrow and do reasonably well. But I just see the level of competition these days. It's so rough if you're not sharp in all aspects of your game. I've noticed this even, down to like the 2100 FIDE level. Like people are just very well prepared. A lot of these younger players are not at all scared playing title players. If you're not on your game, like they will take you out 100%. So, it's a welcome challenge, but also those are the realities these days of improving your chess in 2022. You got to be on your game in all respects.
It's true. It has to be just like a very high priority for you to be successful.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this, me and Kostya. It's I don't know if it's the influence of computers, especially all of these neural net computers, but it seems like chess has become much more dynamic, and I know my understanding is right. A lot of players, as they grow older, become sort of more positional in nature, but it seems like the modernization of chess has just become much more very concrete and right is at least, again, I could be mistaken here, but that's sort of
I think that's spot on. I think you can see it reflected in the younger players. Probably Ali Reza is the best example of this. Like, I look at his games and they're just so sharp and concrete, if you will, if you want to use your terminology. I think that's a great way to describe it. He is willing to play anything and everything, and he's kind of hard to pin down stylistically. Whereas I feel like great players of the past, even Magnus to a large degree, like you could kind of place him in certain buckets. Like, okay, Magnus loves to grind positions where he's slightly better and he's not taking a lot of risk, and he'll play just forever. But I think even Magnus has had to change his style and just adapt to the fact that edges are harder to come by these days. And the younger players, the players who have trained with, Leela and these neural networks, yeah, I think they're less biased. I think they play in a totally open manner where they're willing to play a variety of positions because their training has shown that to be the correct way to play chess.
Well, so wasn't like Wesley So, didn't he largely sort of grow up like playing programs, if I remember correctly? I think he had some competition.
I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah, given he was probably somewhat isolated growing up in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that he like never had like a real coach growing up. So you have to play a lot like online, analyze with the computer, probably play against the computer as well. It is a little kind of reflected in his style. It feels like Wesley is like he's like a super positional player, but when he was coming up, he was like very, very concrete, and he would often, let's say, play in like a unique way. That objective would be totally correct, but maybe not like the way others saw the position.
He's definitely tightened up and kind of embraced being like an E4, E5 player and very correct. When I think of Wesley, I think of a very correct player nowadays.
Yeah,
who,
exactly.
Is just so consistent and like can exploit any sort of weakness in the enemy if his opponent makes a mistake, but very correct player nowadays. But you're right. Like he, in his past, has played very dynamic chess in kind of unique way. Agreed.
Yeah. So what do you think about this position here? Magnus actually has been spending a lot of time after this last move, F5.
Yeah. Interesting. I haven't been following this tournament super closely, I got to say, just again, popping in and out here. But Nepo's been pushing his pawns aggressively. I saw a game he played against Esipenko the other day, black side of the Re Lopez, where he did the same thing and kind of got a big advantage. So this looks challenging. I mean, Magnus burning time. Yep.
Yeah, we were joking earlier. I mean, today he's slowed down a little bit, but we were sort of joking in the past few rounds that Jan should have just been given not 15 minutes per game, but maybe just 15 minutes period. And then whatever time he has left over after per game, he just keeps that for the next one. Because, I mean, he's just been blitzing it out.
I mean, this looks pretty awkward for White, right? Because basically Black's trying to demonstrate that the knight on D6 is going to get stranded with this F4 threat.
Right. Yeah. And so Magnus, after a lot of thought, just played E4. Just completely other side of the board. But okay, his idea seems pretty straightforward, right? He wants to take on B5, counterattack the knight on C6, and
so how's this going to work? If B takes A4, is he going to sacrifice the exchange on D3?
Okay, yeah, that's the big question, right? If Black takes, opens up this attack.
Yeah,
it seems like he would be committed here, at least to take once. Like
unless he has something like knight B7, perhaps, but it looks pretty shaky for White.
Yeah, it's like very kind of unlikely move.
Yeah, because Black's ready to stuff White with F4 on the next move.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can you even just play that immediately? I was even thinking, like, can you just play it? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Instead of B takes A4.
yeah, just like,
I would assume he's going to take on B5 with a pawn.
Right.
Would be the plan.
so yeah, so right. I don't know if it's so now D6 is obviously hanging.
Yeah.
We have a line like taking on G3.
Yeah, there's right. You got some choices here.
Well, yeah, maybe he takes on D6 first just to keep the bishop under attack. And then how would white?
I guess
probably
you
take F4 and then bishop H4.
Just bishop H4, yeah, just keeping the pin.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you do? I guess.
Yeah.
Feels like this is what Magnus was calculating all that time. I think we do have F4 on the board.
He did play F4. Okay.
Probably. Okay, so if white takes on B5 here with the pawn, that line we were just looking at.
Yeah.
So if black takes on G3, let's say.
Yeah, AB5 played. Yeah, FG.
I would assume queen takes C6 is the move here.
Right.
But then take F2, rook takes F2, queen takes E3. Then maybe knight F5 is the plan.
Dang, yeah, you got to take, otherwise pawn is running. So takes, queen E3. Oh, knight F5. Yeah, nice find. So if rook takes, you have queen E6, or queen takes A8, or even queen G6.
Saving. Right, saving resource. Wow, Magnus has really had to get creative here with that A4 move.
Yeah. Geez, so looks like we have after AB5, knight E5 was Nepo's response, getting the knight off of the attack. Now takes. And knight on D6 defended. Of course, bishop's still under attack though. And who knows? Yeah, I mean, like both kings here might come under some fire with like F3 coming maybe.
Yeah, this looks pretty terrifying for white still, just due to the... I mean, I keep looking at those rooks on the D file. I can see why Nepo just wants to keep that bishop firmly defended there. And even after bishop H4, even some slower plan for black looks pretty challenging in terms of white coordinating from here. But white is up a pawn now. I mean, he has that going for him.
I mean, yeah, earlier in the game too. I mean, the black bishop was on D3 and the rook was on D2 and the other rook was on F1, and we were saying maybe rook C1, and then I was like rook D1, it's just going to be blocked. And again, I'm not going to question Magnus, but because that's what he played. But
somehow he didn't mind like the whole game. But whoa, there we go, knight E4.
Knight E4. Yeah, bishop H4 wasn't looking too hot. I wonder if black could even bulldoze there with E3. So he takes.
Yeah. Feels like almost like a practical choice for Magnus, even if it doesn't work. Just position is very, very open now.
Agreed. Where's this compensation, though? Like this is he... King H7, Rook D7? Is that what we're going for?
Yeah, it feels like, he's trying to get in with Rook D7. And King H8, H6 is hanging.
So maybe black will have to block on... Well, he could play King H8, Queen H6, Bishop H7. But then Rook D7. Okay, I see where this compensation's maybe coming from.
Yeah, it's very annoying, especially with the dark squared bishop. You feel like white has certain attacking chances too.
Yeah, so maybe Knight F7 here?
I was going to say, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Knight F7 played.
There it is.
Okay, now he can take on F4. He takes on E4 pretty quickly.
That's a very Magnus decision. He's going for the compact position. A little more clarity, but...
All right, so I mean, black's up a piece for 3 pawns. Another...
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it should be enough, right? Right, John?
Looks a little sketchy. Agreed, yeah. These pawns are not menacing in any way. Like the 3 versus 1 is not anything white can use, certainly in the short term.
Yeah, and like, what if black just takes this pawn on C3 right now, and then he's always ready to play Queen G7, and...
Yeah. I think Magnus is absolutely scrambling here.
Wow. But, so far today, I don't know how much you've seen of the games, John, but like both games, I feel like Nepo has been playing like really confidently. Game 1, he even like kind of out-tricked Magnus a little bit in the end game, and Magnus had to be precise to make a draw. Then game 2, he rejected like multiple repetitions and sharp positions, kind of playing for the win, and almost won. It looked like he might have had chances at some point, and now he's like better again, so he's having a good day.
Seems like he's been in great form.
Yeah, just
I've been impressed with Nepo's play throughout. Like, he's just been looking real confident.
Yeah, he's been again playing. I mean, he was dominating the first 4 days. He was clearly, I think he qualified after, so the first 4 days, right, were the qualifiers, and after day 3, it was like he's already in. I mean, he was just just
he could relax on the final day, basically.
Yeah, I think he ended with I forgot how much he ended with, but at one point he had like 26 out of 33 possible points using like the 3-1-0 scoring system. So yeah, just ridiculous score.
Yep. I feel like Magnus might try something like rook d4 here, just trying to screen the queen.
Yeah. That's a very nice move.
Rook d7, got to go for some sort of rook activity, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. Just try to get on the 7th, and I don't know. Again, maybe I'm not the expert here, but it feels like try to get some activity somewhere. But I do like that rook d4 move as well, just sort of shielding. Okay, rook d7.
This may threaten rook takes f7, so black can't completely fall asleep at the wheel here.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe queen f6, just kind of active. Looking for some knight g5s.
Maybe then rook d6, other rook to d6.
Oh, yeah.
Some tricks.
Could be annoying.
Yeah, right. Because
okay.
Right. So people watching, right? So if queen f6, rook d6, knight f6 is not the move you want to make because of exactly. Yeah. Little checkmate.
We always got to watch, if we're white, we always got to watch queen takes f2, but I don't think it's working for black yet.
Right. And I was thinking knight g5, but then there's minimum queen g6 check for white. It's just kind of
that's
nice
a funny
resource.
Move.
Yeah, and then who knows? Maybe even winning for white, right? Like knight is lost. So okay, we instead got queen e5, queen g6 check, queen g7, and queen a6. Yeah, I mean, okay, if you can take the a pawn, then his chances of losing, I think, are dramatically reduced.
So I guess I'm going to ask you both. Which side would you take here? Or do you think it's just equal? Then you have to pick one.
I'd still probably slightly take black in a time pressure situation, but I feel like Magnus can probably hold this. We might even have a repetition here.
Looks like he's going for it, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, it just turns out to be very difficult to activate this knight because, yeah, I mean, 7th rank is always going to be extremely weak. And wow, Magnus playing.
He heard about my evaluation, so he's like, all right, John's just an IM. I got to prove him. I'm going to demonstrate why I'm the superior player by far.
Wow. Magnus, he did this in game 1 too, where I thought, like, if anything, he's a little bit worse if he plays on. He's like, nope, more important to continue the game.
Yeah, maybe he senses Nepo made a mistake in the last few moves leading up to this, because we were liking black's chances.
Yeah, very, very surprising. Now all of a sudden Nepo, it's also confusing for him because he's like, oh, I thought I was giving you a draw. Now you're playing rook d5. Okay.
It just feels like, again, to me, just sort of looking, it feels like sort of hard for black to sort of untangle things.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because if the knight can't jump anywhere with decisive effect, it's going to be tricky.
Exactly.
Now Magnus, he can just take this pawn, it seems. He has to trade off a rook, which is, maybe not great for his activity, but then the b pawn, of course, is really strong. But he goes rook f5.
Turning the screws a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might just transpire that black is extremely tied down now.
Okay, rook e8.
So-
Otherwise, maybe queen e6 was a possible issue. Not really sure. But
Can you
okay,
just
goes
play
for
rook
activity.
Just play rook f6 here with a very cheapo threat. Again, maybe that's too one-dimensional.
Yeah, makes sense. If black has to play king h7, it almost looks like black's getting further and further cramped and pinned down.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it feels like you're improving a little bit, at least, as white.
Yeah, definitely.
Even just queen takes a7 looks pretty unpleasant too, or rook takes a7.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Magnus completely turned this on its head over the past 10 moves.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh yeah, I definitely take white here.
Right.
Because now, okay, he has 3 pawns. B pawn incredibly strong, very hard for black's knight to ever deal with this.
Can black move there? Oh no, sorry, can't move the knight. Okay, that was probably why. Yeah, taking with the rook is especially annoying.
Yeah, it feels like Jan needs to be accurate and careful here now.
Yeah, it's like, what do you play? Queen d4? Is that a possibility?
I was gonna say queen g4. Does that at least sort of, again though, I don't know. Does rook f6? Is there?
Oh, there you go. Queen g4. Maybe because
some
rook e1.
perpetuals. You know, so rook
Yeah.
f6 doesn't work anymore. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, there is rook f4 maybe to cover on h4, but it's not exactly the most active here.
right.
Yeah, also like queen f6.
Yeah, that was a nice resource. Goes rook f4. Now, do you take the chance to try to compel that rook over to h4, force that rook over to h4?
That's yeah. It was like check and queen h5 and maybe queen f5, just to sort of
Yep.
dislocate
Stabilize things.
Yeah, just sort of maybe sort of slightly misplace that white rook.
Oh, very much. Yeah, I like this queen f5 because then you also have queen b1 ideas. You keep g6
Yeah.
covered. You have the mate threat. So you have to give white something to think about here. If you just let Magnus push for free, it's probably just losing.
Yeah, maybe we'll see white playing, if the rook does go to h4, something like f3. Try to play rook g4. He goes back.
Oh wow, queen e6. That move kind of surprises me.
Yeah, I feel like, even queen d1 there was an option, just like allowing queen g6 check. I wasn't sure if white is actually
maybe
winning
queen
there.
f6. Yeah, that might be perpetual at minimum for white, but maybe.
Oh, queen f6, yeah, and then either king has to step on. No, rook g4 will still be covered. Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, queen e6 on the board. Offering an endgame. Which would definitely not be bad for white. Like, I don't think white loses that. But
is b6 playable? Because what's okay? I guess never mind.
Takes with the pawn.
8th pawn.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
one way to get the pawn to the 6th rank.
Yeah, it's that much stronger now.
Pretty simple plan now, like rook b7, a7. Start turning the screws. Oh, okay. Little tactic. Rook takes h6, knight g4.
Right.
Yeah.
And even here, right? I mean, so do you play just f3? I assume.
Yep. Kind of starting to feel like a draw now. I don't want to call it too early.
Right. But
seems like black should hold this.
But white playing for 2 results, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, now he has a very straightforward plan. Knight b4, knight c6, and he can just pick up the pawn.
Correct.
Sorry. Seems like this will peter out.
Could it be the 3rd well-fought draw here?
Very possible. Okay, rook a4. Yeah, I guess pawn's not going anywhere. So why not just kind of improve the rook, cut off the king?
If these, suppose that G2 pawn was on H2 or something, would White have any chances there? Just based on the structure, or you think it's still just total draw? You guys are stronger than me.
I would say probably still a draw.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it doesn't change much. Though definitely that's a better version for White, I think, with the possible 2 connected passers. Here, okay. I think he just takes on a... Oh, they agreed to a draw.
Just called it. Okay.
Wow.
Another good
I'm really curious about the evaluation of that in the middle game, kind of when we...
Yeah, we can go back and check. We like keeping the analysis engine free, but we kind of like checking the critical stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we've had it up.
But yeah, I'm very curious too. So, okay, after GF4, apparently bishop h4 was absolutely fine. In fact, engine likes White's position here, +2. But okay, to our eyes, it looked very scary. Magnus's choice, he's yeah, definitely not worse after the sack. So this was completely correct. In fact, he could have played like bishop takes f4 and played this position as well. Where I guess engine thinks White is a little bit better in this endgame. But
yeah, this sequence happened so fast it was hard to assess it.
Yeah.
And what if we go back a few moves prior to all this happening, like when Magnus played a4?
Sure. So here a4 strict only move. Otherwise, White is much worse. So fantastic move.
Yeah, very resourceful.
F4 also best move from Black. AB5. And okay, 95 is, maybe you can call it an objective mistake. I don't know. It put a lot of pressure on Magnus. So hard to say that this move is bad. But okay, engine liked queen takes d6 with this position that I think we looked at. Where
yes,
White's
right.
getting the piece back.
Yeah.
And okay, I guess this
sharp
one is
position
about
even
equal.
here.
Yeah. Yeah. Still very sharp though. So yeah, it seems like Magnus's sack was totally sound.
I was gonna say, I think A4 made it crazy, but I think it was getting like very crazy even before then.
Yeah, that was
pretty
like
accurate.
only move. And I guess
Engine
it's
just
like
thinks this is balanced.
it's all equal, any move.
Yeah, it's total zeros.
Crazy. But we were thinking, yeah, at this point, queen e5, when Magnus played rook d5, avoiding the repetition, he's now better.
Yep.
And I guess this move would have been particularly difficult for Black to deal with. In fact, he has to just give the queen.
These guys are just so
like
cool
this.
under pressure. I mean, how many people would have lost that position against Magnus when rook 1 d5 is played and suddenly White's going on the attack? But Nepo he didn't look like he was risking a whole lot. Here again, we were speculating maybe he was better.
Yeah, he defended very, very well, I think, for the most part.
No, yeah, it's super impressive watching these, like
Dang.
I would need
Even this
20
endgame.
minutes.
Yeah, it is so impressive. Even this endgame, I'd be a little nervous, like trading into it as
100%.
Black.
Yeah, you can lose this so easily, right? If it's just like pawns start running up and your knight is awkward. Yeah. But wow, well played by both sides. So we have one more game left in today's match, and then we're pretty sure there's not going to be a tiebreak because there's going to be a second day of finals tomorrow. So I guess we'll go on break soon. But John, since you're here, anything you've been working on lately, like any Chessable courses or anything you want to plug?
I haven't been working on any Chessable courses. I do have a few existing courses. There's a Scandinavian course that I authored. That's one of the first courses on the site, actually. It's still around. People are still studying it.
Nice.
A good way to pick up the Queen D8 Scandinavian if you want to pick that up.
Do you
I've done
focus
the videos.
specifically? Do you focus specifically? I'm not a E4 D5 player, and Blitz I've started playing the Scandinavian. So do you focus specifically on Queen D8? Because I do the classic, Queen A5. Okay, so you're the Queen D8 guy.
Yeah, I play Queen A5 as well, and actually I was working on some material for Queen A5. I might get back to that at some point. That's kind of the move that's in vogue right now in the queen takes d5 Scandinavian. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely that's
I
kind
mean,
of
that was the old school, right? I mean, you play.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yep. And now they're playing it with the knight coming to c6 a lot of times in that line versus previously the pawn would go to c6.
yeah.
Hmm.
So there's some interesting stuff there.
There was a blitz game a long time ago. There was I don't know. He was what's his name? Salam. I think he played it in a great blitz game, and he came out crushing and ended up not winning it. But anyways, I apologize. I cut you off. So
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so that's always been a topic of interest for me, the Scandinavian.
Yeah.
I have a course on it's the videos for 100 endgames you must know. It's kind of famous endgame book.
Yeah.
100 of the theoretically more important endgames and how to win them or draw them depending upon what you're going for. I would consider that my strongest like overall chessable effort, even though I didn't write the text, but doing the videos for that course was pretty intense. It's like a 19-hour video course. I think you have an endgame course as well, Kostya, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my course was released a couple months ago on Endgame Studies, and
Nice.
it's been cool. I've been working on Chessable for a while, but I finally decided like this is the course I need to do. But I think it turned out great. I was quite happy with it.
Yeah. So I'm going to post a couple of links there. So yeah, it's in-game studies 101. Is that correct, Mr. Kavutski?
Yeah.
Nice.
And maybe we can get John's author page
you
in
got
there
it
somehow as well.
You got a lot of positive reviews on that, I see.
Yeah. No, the community has been great.
Awesome.
And it's more than just the dojo folks that are studying the course. People are appreciating it, which is awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I hope to get back to writing a course at some point. As you know, it's just it's a monumental effort when you're making a course, especially on some sort of opening where you want to check everything with the engine and current theory. You got to stay pretty accurately up to date. So I do find that to be overwhelming sometimes, but the satisfaction you get from publishing the course and especially getting feedback from people studying it is amazing. So that's always a thrill when you finally submit it for publishing.
Right. No, I know you spent like hundreds of hours on the endgame videos, right? Like that must have been just huge effort. So
yeah, I spent about 3 months straight, and I think that was released in early 2020. I think I did that late 2019, if I'm remembering correctly. The last few years kind of run together. So yeah, like I finished it all up maybe December, January-ish, late 2019 into 2020. And it really helped my own end games. Like you can probably attest from making that course, Kostya.
Yeah.
I mean, I really solidified my understanding of stuff that previously I had kind of taken for granted or was a little wishy-washy on.
For sure. No, I know. Like you, it's very hard to do a video on a topic that you're not like very well versed in, or like a position that you don't really know the ins and outs. Because otherwise you'll be like, okay, now this is the only draw. Or is this the only draw? Like,
you don't want to come across indecisive, and Chessable users are real sharp, right? Like all you, astute chess students out there, you will pick up on a master being uncertain about something.
Yeah. Quick question: do you enjoy? Sorry, Patrick. Do you enjoy solving tough endgame studies, John?
I haven't done a whole lot of that, but I do enjoy studies in general. So I haven't. I guess like probably the most I've done as far as endgame studies has been Von Perlo's endgame tactics.
Mm-hmm.
So a little more purely tactics based, but those are always pretty interesting. I know Fabiano is big on like the general solve studies method of improving calculation. So it's probably something I should do more of.
Oh, cool. Jesse actually just did a review on Dojo's channel for Van Perlo's book. And it seems like he really likes it. He raves about it quite a bit.
Nice. Yeah, it's a pretty cool book. Yeah. Challenging, but very, very neat motifs and problems in there.
Yeah. Sorry, Patrick, you were going to ask something?
No, it doesn't matter. It was on the periphery. Don't worry about it.
Cool. Well, thanks, John, for joining us. I think we'll take a quick break here, and next game will be starting soon.
I wish I could stick around for the fourth game. I'm going to keep you guys up in the background, but I think you guys will have an exciting game on your hands for the final game today.
Yeah, so far
2 and 3 have been great. But so for me personally, it's very nice to meet you for the first time.
Yeah, likewise, Patrick.
Face to face. Keep up the good work, and I
Thank
hope
you.
to see you in the future for sure.
Yeah, and thanks, Kostya, as well. Good to see you again.
Yeah,
I was
you
trying
too,
to
John.
remember when we played. Was it 2014 or 2015? We have one OTB game against each other.
Yeah, I was at the Spice Cup many years ago. I don't remember the year. Might have been 2013 even.
Oh wow!
But
Yeah,
I do
that's crazy if
remember.
it was 20.
I do remember that game. I thought it was very well played on your end.
It was an instructive game. Went to a rook ending. Yeah, it was instructive.
No, very instructive. Actually, I'd been meaning to go back and even look at it because I felt like there was a number of good positions there to analyze. And,
Yeah.
Hope to see you soon, John.
Yeah,
Maybe
likewise,
at a tournament or whenever,
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
Anytime.
thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's send a challenge.
Here is challenging me. Nice graphics, easy to see. What are you thinking about? You're looking how it can be the most painful?
Exactly. Okay, fine.
So that I give up a phone. He wants to be even rude.
I'm ahead of the game. Well, the phone is always ringing. I'm caught up on the line. Got a string around my finger. Remember who am I? I'm a boss and I'm honestly off my rocker. But follow me. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. I'm only ever slinging. I'm working overtime. Got a song and I'm the singer. The melody, the vibe. I'm a prodigy. Logically, I'm impossibly wanted. And I remember my name. I remember my name. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. Well, I'm ahead now. Well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game.
My name is Sam Shankland. I was the US champion in 2018. My goal is to keep things as simple as possible, but no simpler. So if I believe there is an easy solution to something, I'm giving it. No questions asked. Thanks much, and I wish you the best for all your studying.
As a kid, I spent hours every day reading about chess, about openings, chess history, and games played between world champions, grandmasters, all of them. My apps make learning much easier. Everything I know you can find in my apps: Magnus Trainer, Tactics Frenzy, and Play Magnus. You can learn the basic rules of chess, train with our 400 lessons, and even play against my digital self. Download and try my apps for free.
My name is Endgame. I am a top grandmaster from the Netherlands. The lines and the recommendations that I give are well suited for players of all levels. So I really explain a lot of concepts, but also a lot of basic things. Now it's your move. Don't waste any time. Hit that buy button.
Hi, I'm Grandmaster Judith Polgar, and I'm here to welcome you in the Chessable classroom. It combines a shared chessboard with live video. Teachers get to interact on the chessboard with their students and even run quizzes and tournaments. I really love what Chessable Classroom can offer. I use it myself all the time. Just invite students to your classroom and start teaching right there. No downloads needed, and it's for free.
Hi there, it's me, John Chess, inventor of chess. And are you sick of sucking at chess? Well, lucky for you, I have also invented aim chess. Look at this chess puzzle. Did you solve it? Of course not, that's because you're not using Aim Chess. Aim Chess is a digital chess trainer that helps you improve by creating unique lessons based on your recent games. Just link your chess.com or VChess account and feel that brain wrinkle. Yeah, see, you shouldn't have blundered your queen just there. Now I know! Thanks, Aim Chess! Now all that's left to figure out is how that funny horse moves. They even got acquired by that one chess player other than Hikaru, so you know it's good. Hi, it's me, that guy I just mentioned, and I am the best chess man in the world. But thanks to Aim Chess, I also have a girlfriend now as well. This could be you! Personalized training, game reports and analysis disease, study plans, thick, luscious hair, intuition builder, all this and more available on Aim Chess.
Hello?
Courtney, did you know that Aim Chess users improve their ratings 43% faster than average?
What?
So what are you waiting for? Join Aim Chess today. Links will be somewhere, probably. I don't know, I just made the video. Aim Chess. Sign up now and get 50k silver and 2 free months off your VPN. Now that's what I call a Queen's Gambit. That's so fucking dumb. Aim Chess, for when you aim to chess. That's their slogan. It's what they say. Ready, aim, chess. That's another. It's... Look, just sign up for Aim Chess, okay? Just, come on, literally, why not? All right, just stop being a dick for like 5 seconds and just go, all right? Jesus Christ.
Hey folks, I'm International Master Kostya, and I'm really excited to be presenting my first ever course for Chessable. I've been a big fan of Chessable for many years, and I'm often recommending a lot of the courses to my students. So yeah, it's a real pleasure to finally be previewing my first course for this platform. So this is Endgame Studies 101. And let me just make it clear right off the bat that this is not your typical endgame course. We're not going to be looking at specific rook endgames or looking at high-level examples of endgame play. Instead, this course is all about endgame studies, which, if that's not a term you've heard before, an endgame study is basically a composed puzzle, typically featuring few pieces on the board, where the solutions tend to be quite elegant, if not even artistic. Now, endgame studies are generally designed to be quite tricky. The solutions are rarely straightforward. But the point in solving studies is that they can be great for developing your ability to calculate, your imagination, your resourcefulness, your creativity at the board, and simply put, your ability to find unexpected but truly ingenious solutions at the board. And this is why endgame studies are often used by many chess coaches worldwide, including myself. I personally love giving endgame studies to my students because I feel like it develops their ability to think creatively, to think outside the box. And in solving a lot of studies, one really tends to get a feeling for how the pieces work together in the endgame. It can really strengthen your sense of piece harmony and coordination. Here we can see all of the chapters in the course, and what I've done is I've divided the course up into 4 major parts. So in part 1, we have our tactical foundation. And this is where we're going to be focusing on specific tactical themes that are often arising in endgame studies. So this section is going to be very much about pattern recognition, as I've included a lot of the most common patterns that are often coming up in endgame studies. A lot of tricks, a lot of nice tactics, and hopefully ideas that will show up in your actual real-life games. We start off with a couple chapters on the tactical themes: attraction, deflection, and interference. Attraction and deflection, I believe, are relatively well known. Interference is a very pretty and artistic theme that comes up in endgame studies quite a bit and is well worth knowing. Then chapter 4 is all about passed pawn tricks, where we're going to be looking at typical ways of getting your pawn to that final promotion square, as well as creative ways of dealing with enemy passed pawns. And then in chapter 5, we're going to be focusing on mating nets, where I'm going to be presenting some of the most common mating patterns that are often coming up in endgames and endgame studies. So I'd like to stress that I really try to make this course have as much practical value as possible. which is why I mainly focused on studies that I felt could realistically have come from a real game. Because ultimately, this is all about chess improvement, and I do believe that anyone that goes through the course will start seeing some of these ideas and patterns start to come up in their games time and time again. So let's take a look at one of these chapters. Looks like, let's go to chapter 3. So here we have chapter 3, which is all about the interference theme. And what you'll see at the top of each chapter is a video. Now, I designed the course to be perfectly standalone.
Hey everybody, welcome back to day 1 of the finals of the Airthings Masters, the first event of the Meltwater Chess Champions Tour. I am PatrickJMT, joined here with professional player and chess coach, international master Kostya. And we saw, so what did we see? We saw a bunch of draws. Yeah,
exciting.
The first one was a little whatever, but game 2 and game 3 were quite interesting, and it looks like Nepomniachtchi is playing an Italian. This was World Championship stuff, right? When they played a few months ago.
Yeah, let's see. Looks like he went for the Italian game, and
I think this is almost some stuff they played.
I mean, it feels topical though. This knight b5, bishop b8. That certainly is not something I've seen a whole lot.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that bishop b8 is playable, but rare from my understanding.
Yeah, so bishop d3, knight e7, c4, knight g6. I keep expecting c6 from black. Knight g6 takes, c5, finally c6 to open up the bishop, bishop e6, queen e7, queen e2. And yeah, it feels like a very solid structure for both sides. I mean, maybe white is a little bit better with the extra space, but it doesn't feel like anything too special here. Like black has, I think, reasonable squares for all his pieces too.
Yeah, it's kind of how I felt about the last game too. And then all of a sudden, there were some interesting developments and things got very imbalanced. So still early, but yeah, I agree with you. It feels, to echo your statement, yeah, feels like maybe, white has a touch more space, again, just because of that c5 pawn. But
yeah,
I don't think no one's in dire straits here.
Right. But Magnus is thinking, he's definitely, seems like he's kind of the first one out of book here, based on the time usage. And yeah, he's not going bishop c7, which to me feels like, I guess he's also maybe thinking about knight d7 to go after the pawn immediately.
Right. So I guess knight d7, you're just pretty much forced. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter now.
Finally, as soon as like you're like, maybe he's thinking about this, and then he's like, no. Just makes the normal move.
Right.
And yeah, now I would expect either knight a4 from white makes sense, maybe trying to hop into b6 or rook ac1. Both these moves seem very reasonable.
Somebody asked, why is Magnus sitting like that? That looks like his normal, that's kind of the normal Magnus position from what I've seen. It looks pretty...
Yeah, what's going on? Does he have his like leg up or something a little bit? It seems like a pretty typical pose, yeah.
He's kind of all over the place. Sometimes he's like leaned back, like ready to take a nap.
Yeah, yesterday we saw him just like really casual. Yeah.
So b3. What's the idea of b3 here? Just
I think just taking some squares like a4 and c4 also allows white to move the rook and the knight without ever worrying about the a2 pawn. Right. And I really wonder if he's not thinking about playing bishop c4 and recapturing with the pawn in order to use the open b file.
Well,
which looks strange at first, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, right. It's what they say. It's only a weakness if you can get to it, and the c5 pawn is fine. And I don't see how you get to the if it did happen. I don't see how you would get to the c4 pawn anytime soon.
Yeah, you're right. So that's just a possible explanation. I'm not totally sure. b3 wouldn't be the first move that comes to my mind, but of course, Nepo, I think knows better. So knight d7.
So I assume knight a4 is
Knight a4. Yeah, seems necessary here. And oh, he is also possibly preparing a long-term maneuver, bringing the knight to c4, where I think it would probably be really well placed. Of course, c5 pawn has to be defended, so I'm guessing we'll see like rook a c1. Okay, rook a d1. But yeah, that's maybe another idea behind this move b3, is that he opens up this maneuver.
Yeah, I like that idea. So now it's totally plausible, right? Since the pressure, I mean...
After Knight of Fate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And Magnus, I wonder what he's doing. Maybe just wanting to double the rooks on the d file. Whenever you have these kinds of structures where there's like only one open file, it often does lead to a lot of rook trades, because it's like, this is where the rooks are strongest, and if you contest the file, then you trade the rooks. If you don't contest the file, then your opponent gets to take over the only open file, and that's not really ideal strategically either.
Right.
So, Queen c2. Just kind of reinforcing this one. And I guess on rook d7, he would have to think about knight b6, because then he'd be pretty much forced to take. He can't just ignore the knight. Yeah, not clear if black does want to give up the dark squares like this.
Yeah, right. That's not a position where you want to sack the exchange.
So queen c2, kind of a nice move, I think. Almost prophylactic, just waiting to see what black wants to do. Rook d7 anyway for Magnus. He says go ahead if you want to play knight b6. Yeah, a little surprising for me, but we'll see what if Nepo wants the two bishops or not. It does feel like he has to it feels like a critical moment, like his pieces are well placed, now it's time to choose a plan or choose a direction. Bishop f1. Okay, keeping everything solid.
I guess he sort of feels like maybe he has the queen side a little clamped down. Maybe he doesn't want to trade things off. I don't know.
No, I mean, it looks like he is okay with the trade.
Well, I mean,
for Magnus?
Well, no, for Nepomniachtchi not playing knight b6.
Yeah, I guess he, right, feels like he always has this one in reserve.
Yeah. You know, it just sort of feels like that knight and that c-pawn are sort of keeping everything under control over there.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice clamp. So, yeah, why give it up if it doesn't lead to immediate advantage? Okay, rook d8.
Still feels equalish, I would suspect.
Yeah. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if anyone had the edge here, but that doesn't mean it's gonna stay equal, because Magnus, he tends to do this thing where he just like outplays you in a completely equal position, and then you're resigning with thoughts of how did I lose that. Rook b1, avoiding the rook trade.
Oh well. That would not be my first thought, but yeah, I was trying to think, what do you do as white?
Yeah, I guess he wants now to play for b4.
I was gonna say, do you play like a3 b4 or just b4 straight away? I guess b4, I guess you just want the open file, correct?
I mean, it seems like that was possible, but I don't know. I mean, a3 b4 also looks perfectly reasonable as well, because okay, you get the pawn to b4, then maybe one day you push b5, and just putting a little pressure on the queen side. Nothing like huge, but okay, it's a little pressure, and in the meantime, black has nothing to do on the d file, so that's why Nepo feels comfortable giving it up. His bishops will cover all the entry squares, so no big deal. But still doesn't feel like white has much here, to be honest.
This is small accumulations of advantages.
Yeah, maybe not even plural, maybe just small advantage.
So far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, of course, as the time ticks down, the moves become harder to find. Time pressure plays more of a factor. The game opens up, things start getting traded off. Yeah, anything can still happen. But yeah, I'm very interested how this plays out, because this is one of those positions, of course, I would lose to either player from either color, even though it feels kind of static and like you should be able to hold it or play it reasonably well. But yeah, these guys find all kinds of like super creative ideas in these positions. Yeah, it's not just their like opening theory that makes them good. Sometimes players like to think.
Well, I think it's interesting too, right? I mean, because that knight was on d7 not too long ago and went to f8, and now it's right back.
Yeah, brings it back.
I think a lot of people psychologically, right? It feels like, well, you just moved it from there. There's no like, I should put it somewhere else, right? Like, why did I move it in the first place? So
yeah, to kind of justify your previous move, knight f8, like you gotta play knight g6 or knight h7 or something.
Yeah, but now that's where it goes.
Yeah, these guys are super objective, and okay, it's a closed position. The value of one tempo is not too high, so just because he brings the knight back doesn't mean his position is not still very, very solid. Of course, white also lost some time, right? Playing rook d1 and rook back to b1. So you can kind of feel more justified doing it as black.
Yeah. I guess just trying to think where the breaks are, what side, where the pawn breaks. That's what I always start looking at in these positions. I don't know if that's the correct thing to look at or not, but
I mean, feels like b4, is kind of white's only plan, but the question is whether to do it right away or prepare it with a3.
Yeah, it just sort of feels like both sides are, I don't see, no major weaknesses in black side, at least yet, and same thing for white.
Well, I mean, the other idea, and this might be why he hasn't just quickly played b4 or a3, b4, is that, maybe he is trying to kind of keep this pawn alive as a weakness in the long run. Because you can imagine some endgames, like white gets this dark square bishop here, knight comes to c4, and, the pawn just drops off. It's hard to achieve right now because black has a lot of pressure, but
exactly.
Maybe white can somehow just keep this in the back of their mind, and I feel like that's why he's doesn't necessarily want to push b4 so easily. Also, actually, b4, some tactics we should check here. Takes, and in b5. I'm not really sure if this is working for black, but trying to use the pin.
Right.
Because maybe white just accepts the sacrifice and takes here. Rook c8. I don't know. Feels like unclear position, but could be good for white. So I'm not sure if this is working for black.
Yeah. This feels like something you have to really calculate exactly.
Yeah. But okay, you definitely wouldn't want to allow b5 without being able to take here, because then black kind of solves all their structural problems. Pawn on c5 starts to hang, and yeah, then black is probably more than okay.
Sure, I can believe that.
Jasper thinks Magnus is physically upset. I don't know, actually. I think he looks fine to me.
Yeah, he looks like he's just thinking.
B4
he's usually
play.
Pretty emotional. Okay, we got it. He's usually.
And rook b8. So no b5. Probably that en passant line, I think, probably just good for white. Now Nepo has to keep putting pressure. Maybe queen b2. Yeah, Jan there, he was a little surprised by this. Rook b8.
Yeah, I like your queen b2 move. I mean, the rook on b4 seems like it's happy. The knight seems happy. The bishop on e3 is, doing work. The bishop on f1, okay. We'll find out, but
I wonder what is Black's move after queen b2, because clearly there's something.
it's a good question.
Like this a2 pawn is hanging in the end, so but the problem is when white takes on b7, like stuff is hanging. So queen b2. Feels like Magnus more or less had to have anticipated this move. In that last game, 2 games ago, Magnus was anticipating like all kinds of like crazy moves and having his response. So I'm sure he probably has something in mind here.
So, okay, so b5, and then if c b6, can you just play bishop d6? Where does the rook go?
Oh, takes in like this. Wow. Wow. So Magnus does go b5. Solution? Yeah. Nice. Maybe this was Jan was grimacing at.
He's gone. He's like, I've seen enough. He's away.
Yeah. He left the board after his last move. Probably to use the bathroom or something, and I guess we'll watch his face when he comes back.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna give one of these.
So I assume they don't have to. Do they have to get permission on these, these sort of events to leave the board? They have to be like, hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom or gonna get my noodles, or are they allowed to just sort of get up and do what they want to do?
I'm not sure what the regulation is. I think I don't think they have to ask for permission. I think they are allowed to leave the room for like a bathroom break or something. It might be like they're allowed to do it once, and then if they have to go more than once, then maybe they have to like message someone. But I'm not sure. I feel like I haven't heard too many strict regulations about this for this event.
Well, I've said this before too, and obviously it's a issue with online events, but never in a million years could I imagine any of these people like cheating. Like you would just you would be, I assume, just sort of persona non grata at that point. It's like this is like their livelihood and their reputation. I just simply cannot imagine. And I'm certainly not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that doing.
No, I mean, it'd be a big shock if one of these top guys was.
Especially for like a game or 2 games, like it just seems like it'd almost be like career over in some ways.
Yeah, the reputational cost would be just way too severe. So a3, yeah, I wonder how much Nepo was kind of, because he spent time on queen b2.
Yeah.
So it feels like he was calculating something. So I don't think b5 was a surprise for him, because on b5 he took very quickly when he came back.
Yeah.
So he goes with a3. So he sacks the exchange like this. Maybe this was his original idea. He was just kind of double checking. And yeah, he has some very, very nice compensation here with this b6 pawn.
Right. Magnus, not quite, but definitely a nice little time edge.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, somebody's good luck in the match. Yeah, JGN. Unfortunately, that's not me playing. Yeah, me and Mr. Kostya are watching a big tournament. the Meltwater Chess Champions Tour. So I'm lucky to have such a strong player here with me to discuss the games. I've been on cloud 9. I've been having so much fun.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, so I mean, still feels equal. I mean, equalish. I don't know. Yeah, so White gave up the exchange, but certainly, yeah, that B6 pawn looks a-okay.
Yeah. I don't really
So
see how Black does a whole lot here.
yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, do you target that B6 pawn? But when you do, I mean, once you start trading, the E5 pawn might be an issue. It's
Yeah,
like
I don't
rook
know. I mean, definitely
A8.
feels like f6 is a move Black can throw in just to
Yeah,
kind of strengthen the position. But yeah, the issue is like what to do. Like it's very hard to activate this rook, and if it's just staying here, then White can always just hold on to this pawn, and how much Black is doing. So maybe like a move like rook a8 is also worth considering, but imagine White just goes like queen c2 or something, just defends the knight.
yeah.
I guess this one is hanging. Maybe not so easy.
So again, yet another game they've sort of they've managed to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe rook a8, knight c5.
That's what I was thinking. I mean,
Possible.
that would be. I mean, that's what I would play. Again, without any serious analysis here, but
Yeah, not sure what's going on. Takes, knight a4.
yeah,
Yeah, again, not clear if White has enough. Yeah, knight on a4 is also tied to the pawn, but I think from White's point of view, if we assume White's not really better here, he's just kind of playing for compensation, then you're kind of okay. If you're tying down your opponent's rook and your knight is doing the job, then economically it's kind of nice for White. But yeah, the question really is like whether either side can improve here, and I'm sure Magnus is gonna come up with something.
he's definitely. He had, I think, over 10 minutes when we hit this position, so he's definitely spending some time here.
Queen d6 played, and quick bishop e2 from Nepo.
Do you think just guard the d1 square? What's bishop e2 or some sort of
Yeah, I think so. Just covering d1 and improving. And now rook a8. Yeah, maybe
where
knight
does that knight
c5.
go?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
I feel like knight c5, but then knight takes b6, knight takes e6, knight a4 again. It's kind of a problem. Black keeps the knight, and yeah, keeps the extra exchange. White has lost the big b pawn. So this, I think, could be just totally losing.
Right.
So yeah, Magnus might be starting to pull away here. Maybe b7 first. Oh, but b7, of course, he just takes the knight. This pawn is scary, but it's well covered, and Black is just up a rook. So let's see what Nepo comes up with.
I mean, it either feels like knight c5 or bishop c5, I would assume.
Yeah, maybe bishop c5 is a move.
Okay, yeah. So okay, bishop c5. Hmm. Yeah, it feels. I mean, feels complicated to me.
Yeah, very. So Magnus takes. I can take with the pawn or with the knight, I think. Pawn is kind of more desirable strategically, but the knight ends up loose in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's kind of in the air.
Takes like queen e7, and then this one is everything is still under attack. So big choice here from Nepo. You can also take with the knight. And there's rook a2, actually very unpleasant move. And I don't really see a way to do anything there for white.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, knight c5 and rook a2 looks like that's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
But it feels like, so if you take with the pawn, can you play like queen d4 and force an exchange? And I mean, that b pawn really isn't getting too far.
Yeah, queen d4 also big possibility. Because as soon as you push the b pawn, black goes rook b8 and collects it.
Yeah. I guess you always have bishop a6, but it feels like it's going to be.
Sure.
It feels like black will potentially get it at some point. But again, I guess potentially is not what you want. You want to either you're going to get it or you're not.
Knight c5.
Okay.
What does he want on rook a2? Magnus is also thinking.
I'm going to take a look at them in the camera. Where are they? Yeah, I mean, so rook a2 and what?
I don't see it. I don't see the idea. He must have something in mind, but struggling to find like a really, something that doesn't just lose.
It's got to be like, I assume it's has something to do with b7. I don't know where else
Yeah.
Otherwise you just resign, right?
At some point.
Like,
but how exactly is this working? Because this is going to be extra rook for black.
So what? Queen c3 and just take the bishop, I would assume. I mean, I don't know where else the queen goes. Okay, well, I mean, you can go wherever, but I would assume queen c3.
Yeah.
Magnus looks very focused on the camera. I'm peeking at him.
No, he looks very comfortable. He's way up on the clock. And this would be a big win, because really the position, out of the opening was very, very dry. Felt like, maybe white was pressing a little bit, but nothing special. Now he's about to be up full rook possibly, but I'm sure Nepo has some idea. Like maybe rook takes a2, queen a3, something like this. But the rook goes back to a2 actually and shuts down all the play on the a file.
Yeah, exactly.
Funnily enough, so b7 of course is a move here. Then queen b8 and yeah, what exactly? Rook e2 on the board, and he goes b7. Okay. So here, okay, the threat is knight a6. That much we can understand.
Yep.
But if Magnus goes here or here, then I'm not sure exactly. Or rook a2. Then I'm really not sure what
Yeah, I
White
was
is
even
doing.
yeah, I was even wondering, is Rook A2 possible? Feels like, I don't know. I'm trying to find something. I mean, I'm like, okay, that B pawn looks looks good, but black is up a rook, and
You know.
I don't see exactly what white is doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, we've been at this for a few hours now. I think my brain I'm not used to these long sessions, so my brain may be turning to mush. Maybe there's something easy, something
But it's
simple.
great for your chess, I think.
Well, I can just sort of zone out into and be like, "Hey, Kostya, what's happening?" So, you're my computer, Kostya.
I'm doing my best, but I'm having a hard time.
It's definitely, I mean, they've been mixing it up today.
Yeah. I mean, okay, one idea for White, like let's say Rook A2, is to take on E6. Black has to
Yeah, I
take
was
with the
thinking
pawn,
this. Right.
and then B5.
Right.
But I have to feel like the extra rook is enough for Black to win this. Maybe just C5, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. You don't have to take. You don't have to open those files. Exactly.
See, Magnus played Queen C7.
Okay.
Also, seems give a Queen A3. Wait, Nepo's a little bit surprised because he has Queen A8 check. Did Magnus miss this?
So I'm not sure. Did he screw up? Was Queen B8 more accurate? Because now
Magnus
Rook
is
A2.
super. He blundered this big time. Magnus, what are you doing?
I mean, because if he played Queen B8, then this Rook A8 is not a threat.
Yeah.
So I think right. I think
Queen B8, then he can just go Rook A2 here. He's absolutely fine.
yeah. So I think this Queen C7 was.
Looks like a blunder.
Yeah, big inaccuracy, right?
Yeah, I kind of just want to double check, make sure we weren't missing anything.
Okay. What is it?
Yeah, Queen B8 there was actually only move, and Black is winning. Still not easy. Like I'm sure he was worried about some B5 here and stuff, but
Sure.
he is winning. Rook A2 though I also thought was good, but what's wrong with this one? Oh here, B5 right away. Oh wow. White's actually winning here. This was a lot more complicated than originally realized. Dang. So Magnus goes Queen C7, but yeah, now after Queen A3, White's fine.
Oh man, yeah. So trying to keep that B pawn in check, but yeah, now I guess is the problem, right? A8 is not going to be covered twice.
Yeah, Magnus is really upset there.
Yeah, look at him. Yeah, look at him.
I think any Norwegian lip readers are probably.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was gonna say. What is he saying? Because he doesn't look. I wish they had mics so we could hear. Maybe that's exactly why we don't have mics to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he realizes he's let something, an opportunity pass.
Yeah, no, I mean, because Queen B8. From his point of view, it's like Queen B one move, and he's winning basically. So he must have just blundered something in this line. Yeah, so Rook D2. Actually, that's a good try. Trying to go Rook D8. Yeah, Rook D2 on the board.
I was gonna say, right? I mean, now Black has to be a little alert here. You got to do something about this B pawn. Yeah, there's no rook for two. Yeah, no, there is apparently clearly. Yeah,
this was the move Magnus chooses.
So yeah, we're not saying Black is losing, but I think just Black was. It looked like there was a win potentially somewhere that he let slip with Queen C7.
Yeah, I feel like there's like some queen a5 here, maybe. Oh, knight a6. Yeah, knight a6, of course. Right. This was what Magnus even missed, because now if he takes, black is recapturing with a new queen.
Right.
And then materially speaking, he's absolutely fine. And otherwise, he's going to be forcing black to give the rook here on b8.
Yeah, I think even more than that potentially, right? I mean, that queen's got to do something here.
Yeah, we got a question. Where is Hans? Well, he was around. He fortunately didn't qualify for the knockouts in this tournament.
Yeah. So the first 4 days were the top 8 qualified, and we were focusing largely on Hans's games, and unfortunately he didn't qualify. Well, and I thought that was a blunder for some reason.
Yeah, it looks like a mouse,
qualify.
but
But yeah, unfortunately he didn't qualify, but he has been kind enough to let us, me and Mr. Kostya continue to keep up with this event. It'll be over tomorrow, and then I'm sure he will next time after Saturday, whenever you get back on, you won't have to deal with us. You'll get the man himself. So, but yeah, he's been kind enough to let us keep doing it. He was certainly, I'm sure, very disappointed that he didn't qualify, but he's been a good sport to let us carry on, at least for the past few days and for today and tomorrow.
And just like that, Nepo is 100% back in the game.
Yeah, now it looks almost
super
boring.
drawish here.
Do you think they'll just call it a day here in a second? I mean, I guess
not necessarily. I think Nepo is the one that's kind of pressing now, because he has like queen and knight, which is considered, I think, a slightly better combo, and he can definitely, queen b6 here, just kind of keep the pressure.
this guy just sort of jump around those dark squares.
Yeah, and Magnus still, I think, is going to have to defend this one very patiently and not allow white to get any unnecessary activity with the queen and knight. But let's see. These are the best players in the world. Let's see what they come up with here. Maybe one of them, maybe Nepo will find a way to squeeze.
Yep. Yeah. I don't want to see it happen, but if Magnus, and again, I can't imagine it happening, but if he somehow did get pressed here, he will be, I'm going to watch the camera if it looks like he gets in trouble, because he will be.
Yeah, you just don't forget that previous moment where you're like, oh man, I had to win.
Yeah, and right, I mean, and at this point, like a win is a win for the day. So, and then
this is kind of the most important game.
Yeah, I mean, you've got total, in a sense, sort of complete insurance in a way against tomorrow. I mean, you can still, sort of play for a couple results and still at least get into the playoffs.
Yeah, you have nothing to prove on the second day. But for Nepo to escape, from the losing position, I think also, definitely must feel good.
Yeah, certainly. Do you think again, he's super strong. Do you think he realized he'd botched it at some point? I mean, I don't know.
Because I think he was quite surprised when Magnus played queen c7. My read was that he was like, oh wow, he messed up. Like, I think he kind of realized he was in danger there, because Magnus was thinking for some time there. Nepo was probably realizing, oh, queen b8, I don't really have much there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't looking at the cam at that point.
Yeah, Magnus must have just missed that knight a6 move when he played queen c7. The more I think about it, because he must have seen queen a3. He was spending so much time here. Like, there's no way you don't see this move. But he must have been counting on rook d2, rook d8.
Right.
and then realized, oops, knight a6 is posing some serious issues there because he's kind of stuck. And yeah, white ends up getting the rook back. Now king g6, king g3. Magnus offers a repetition. Yeah, I agree, Fromraid. Definitely Jan feels like he's, yeah, kind of not willing to back down from Magnus in this match. He's just playing positions, making sharp moves if he feels they're right, not like playing for a draw, offering a repetition, anything like that. Now, okay, position is very hard to improve for white. But okay, keeps playing. Queen a7. See, just like that, he could have just repeated their king g3, but chooses not to. Because he realizes he's not risking anything.
And they are getting down to seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, under a minute, each of them, at least for now.
Queen d8. Magnus is eyeing the counterplay. Queen b7. Feels like queen d2. Magnus should have enough play here, but it would seem.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to take. I assume you don't want to take the c6 pawn unless you want to take a draw, because bishop f1 is coming. I guess queen c6, and you get some checks.
Or bishop f1 here.
Yes, exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, bishop f1, and that's what I was saying for now. For white, I assume you're.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Then yeah, queen e8 and draw.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're gonna get.
All right.
Yeah. Very funny for Nepo, but he's unhappy, and Magnus is like, oh man. Yeah, Jasper, to answer your question about the queen trade, if we go back, it was a very concrete thing. Had Magnus traded here, then after knight takes b8, you just can't defend the pawn. Otherwise, I think he would have gone for this endgame, provided he can get his king in quickly. But once you lose that pawn, that's not good. So that was the issue. That's why this queen c8 move, I think, was very important.
I'm watching Jan. He looked like he had a big, sort of smirky smile, and just like, whoa. And Magnus was not. He did his sort of his traditional like what happened.
Yeah, I think he knows he kind of got away with one there.
Yeah.
And they're showing that key position on the main broadcast. But I think that's going to be it for day one. I don't think they're going to tie breaks here. So 2-2, 4 draws, and everything will be decided tomorrow, it seems, on day 2.
Yeah, again, I'm hoping for a repeat of today. We had 3. First game was okay, whatever. The last 3 games were definitely interesting. Certainly Magnus, I think, missed his chances in this one, and I think there were some other chances as well, to be honest. I mean, but yeah, I would love to see these guys go to blitz, but even if we don't, if we see some more games tomorrow like we did today, I'll be a happy chess fan. So,
yeah, for sure.
All right. Thanks, everybody. So tomorrow will be the last day of the Meltwater Chess Champions Tour, at least for this part of the event. I am PatrickJMT. This has been joined by International Master Kostya, and I've had fun. I hope you have too again, Mr. Kostya. And tomorrow we'll be back, same time as we have been every day. And yeah. Anything to add, Mr. Kavutsky?
I like Jan's face here. Looks like his camera disconnected or something.
He's just frozen. Yeah, he was funny to watch when it wrapped up. So, but yeah, great games. Check out, come back tomorrow if you got a little free time. It'll be Saturday. Spend a little more time with us. And yeah, again, it's been a great day. I think very good games, and I hope to see some more just like this tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
Okay, so let's send a challenge.
Ah, here is challenging me. Nice graphics, easy to see. Oh, what are you thinking about? You're looking how it can be the most painful?
Exactly. Okay, fine.